You are listening to Power Stance Gamers Podcast, the best place for quality tabletop banter. With your hosts, Jacob, Greg, and Muddy.
G'day ladies and gentlemen, Jacob Corner here from Power Stance Gaming. Great to chat to you on this fine evening. With me as usual, my two co-hosts, Mr. David Muddyman.
Hey guys.
And Mr. Greg Millsop.
Hey listeners.
Gentlemen, what have we been up to?
What have we been up to?
Heaps, man. Heaps.
Heaps.
In fact, best ever, probably a little couple of weeks we've had off.
Yeah.
CONEXIO, man. It opened.
Oh yeah.
The gaming cafe.
Absolutely.
In Albany Creek.
Big shout out to Mick and the crew down at CONEXIO.
Yeah, they're doing a good job.
Which is a gaming cafe.
Yeah. Tons of board games and the pizzas were good.
Oh man, well it was so good. So
what was that drink I was drinking?
Cider, apple cider.
Yeah, it was really nice.
So Jacob, you went on a Thursday night?
Yeah, we got invited to the closed doors session, and you lads were busy, and my wife actually called in sick for work that night. So I was like, I know you're feeling unwell, honey, but I'm going to leave you for a couple hours to go and play games. And she was so sick, she didn't care. It was great. So, not great that she was sick, great that...
But it worked out.
Yeah, you know. So, went in and ran into Mike from Mimic Games and Ian. So, sat with them and played some Star Wars games. And, yeah, it was pretty good. And great coffee, great food. It was brilliant. So, and then... You guys went on Friday.
We trolled in on Friday. You drove into that fast food shop. Literally parked the car inside the. I was eating chips off this kid's plate while I was in the car, just
out
thinking.
the passenger window.
Yeah, and everyone's looking at me, and I'm like, "Well, I'm not driving it. Don't look at me."
The fact that it was a 10-year-old girl didn't look impressed.
No, they didn't look impressed, but the chips were good. I was like a seagull. But yeah, it was good. We went in, caught up with Mick, played. What was that samurai sort of game? It's a fantasy flight game, and I got pantsed. But we'll work on that. Got some pizzas. Like I said, had the cider, and it was a good night. And they've got quite a good selection of games. I was a little worried because Greg and myself aren't really huge into the board games, and we're looking across, and they've got the board games set up in certain areas. So like, say the kids type area is in one section, and it moves across as the games get more difficult. And so we were kind of looking in the kids area, going, all right, yeah, we can at least play Cluedo and Connect Four, and a bit of Monopoly and whatnot. And then we discovered, as we were looking across, they had Zombicide and a few others, and then he had that little secret stash. Remember he took us out of the secret stash? It had Chaos in the Old World.
Yeah.
Dreadfleet was there. Battles with Battlestar Galactica with the Cylon. You got to figure out the Cylon. So
it's a cracking
straight
game,
away,
yeah.
I haven't played it. So, and I'm a big
Battlestar
Galactica man. So straight away I was like, ooh, okay. So I need to learn how to play all these games.
I have to say, I have never been to a gaming cafe in my life. So Friday night just blew my mind. I had,
you went back for dinner the next night.
Well, that's the thing.
Right?
I came back raving about it to the family, and then Saturday was like, right, boom. Saturday was raining here in Queensland, so it's like, right, let's do it. We're doing it. I'm like, the family were like a bit iffy. I was like, no, let's do it. Went down and got a pile of pizzas and rocked up and played 4 games, and I made sure we'd never played games before, so everything we played as a family
was new.
Maybe one of us might have played it, but as a family we'd never actually played as a group, and we played 4 different games and had an absolute ball. It was so good, so much fun. So
did your kids beat you at Age of War? Because you could beat Muddy.
It did. Hey. No, I won. No, my Cherokee won.
Nice.
But we played this sort of game called Block Use, I think. We put little tiles like Tetris on a square, and the whole point is to get rid of all your pieces. And I won that, so that was good. Walk away at the end of the day with a win.
I was distracted though because they put pizza in front of me,
which you didn't finish.
I didn't finish it. It was my pretty junky food day. I had a kebab earlier, and then I've rocked up and I ate most of that pizza though.
Were you on your period or something? Were you?
Yeah, so I get a bit bit low sometimes. You're like, I'm gonna need to go get some fat food in me, and they supplied it. It was good.
The pizza was awesome though. Like the whole thing, the whole setup, everything. I can't fault it. 10 out of 10.
We on the Friday night, my wife and I went to Brendale Brewery, where we're holding our PSG event, which we'll talk about in a second, just to remind everyone. Doing a bit of recce, and we got some food and some beer there. Then we were on our way to a gig, and I was like, if we just come down Old Northern Road, we can head into the city through Enoggera, and we can stop and grab some coffees on the way. And she's like,
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
That'll work.
Yeah. So, we were on our way to a gig, but we stopped in, and the coffee's fantastic. Like, it's clean skin coffee. I reckon it's the best you can get in Brisbane. So, and, it was worth it. Good to see you guys there. And
yeah, we had
shame
a
it
good
was
old time.
Awesome. Yeah, really good.
We got reliving the some old times back in the Warhammer days. I used to go around and pick up minis off him. And he was telling us about his history and all that sort of thing. But we might at some point be bringing him on, so I won't divulge any of that, and let Mick.
I think it's a great idea.
Let Mick tell everyone.
Tell his
himself.
story. Yeah, it'd be brilliant.
Because it's a good story.
And we'll definitely be heading down there. In the future.
Heaps. I think we've already said we're going to have to do a big catch up with the kids and everything. Take them down. We can. They can go play Connect 4 or whatever, and we can play. I don't know. I'm thinking Chaos in the Old World would be good because I've never played that. That's Fantasy Flight too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even Game of Thrones. I haven't played that.
We used to play that up at the Knights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's
But
yeah.
Crack it on. Yeah, we'll be there.
So what else you been up to?
Ooh, me, just flat out getting terrain sorted at the moment. Just did my big build, my Cork town village, whatever, a couple of months ago. And when you start playing with terrain, you go, I need some more of this, I need some more of that.
Always need more. You always need more.
Yeah. So I spent $4 in total, and built 16 8-inch fences.
Oh,
that's a bargain. in any.
I do the terrain on the cheap, but it turns out alright. And I got some craters that I got up, so that'd be good. Add a bit more depth to the table. That's kind of the plan there. Game wise, haven't done much. Played a little bit of Moderns, and still kind of recovering from Team Pro. That was a big effort from you and my good self, Mr. Millsop. So I want to talk about Team Pro for a minute. Okay.
Yep. Team Pro, which was an Infinity.
It was an Infinity event. It was a doubles event.
Where is this up at the Knights, or is this somewhere else?
It was up at Knights.
JT run it.
JT run it. And Team Pro, I think I personally stepped up my game for
you
Team
did.
Pro.
You played a blinder. In fact, I felt I was the one that let the team down.
No, you didn't. But it got to the point, and again, it's that sort of thing where we played really well in our first game.
Yep.
We played okay in our second game, but still managed to win. And we were top table last round.
Did you choke?
No, but it's just stuff started going against us, and I just felt I was devastated. Not for me, for Greg.
Well, we lost by what? A dice roll.
We lost by a dice roll
against really good lists.
Really good lists, yeah.
Strong opponents.
And the people that we lost to ended up winning.
Yeah.
The event. So
we played Greg Burgess and I forget
Burgess.
A new chap.
Yep.
I forget his name, so apologies for that. He was a new guy on the scene that Burgers teamed up with, and that was a great game. You played a blinder in that with your Yan-Yans coming off the side of the board and then getting grenades and throwing the grenades. It was just insanely good. And then we played Brendan Hutchinson and Josh Franks.
Yep.
And that was a stellar game with Brendan's 4 Achilles. He had 4 Achilles bros.
Yep. He had 4 Achilles on the board.
Yep.
What?
Okay, because
are they like a special character?
He had Achilles, and then there's Patroclus.
Yeah.
And Patroclus has a rule where he can hollow echo, which is pretend to be Achilles, but he can also project 2 extra Achilles. So there was 4 Achilles on the board.
Yep.
And it was, to Brennan's credit, each of them were painted really well. Like, it was 4 beautifully painted Achilles on the board. It wasn't like he had tokens or counters saying, this is Achilles.
Well, you might as well put a bit of effort in.
Did you also know that he had tufts of grass on his Achilles, on the hollow projector ones?
Yeah.
And there was 1 tuft of grass in 1, 2 tufts of grass in the second, and 3 tufts of grass in 3. So he could just write down a piece of paper, 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah, the amount of grass on.
So rather than painting it on underneath the base, it was tufts of grass, which I thought was very clever.
Yeah, it's very clever. So that way, from round to round, you can change it.
Yeah.
And the opponents can't G onto it.
So we beat those guys, which was
that was tight.
That was a tough win, because their lists were rock hard. And then we played Mickey and Josh Donovan. In the last game, and every single turn we were against it.
We got slammed. We got slammed real hard in turn 1.
Yeah.
But I kept saying to Greg, have faith. Have faith. And literally, this was my mantra, because we weren't playing ITS. We weren't playing a normal tournament thing. And I think Greg might have been stuck in the normal ITS mission.
Yeah, definitely.
We were playing YAMS, which is a different set of missions. And we can score all our missions completely independently of the other team. And I knew that I could get us 4 out of our 5. So I was totally confident.
That's pretty good odds.
Yeah. And that's what we needed to win. If we got 4 out of our 5, we could do that. Except, you know what I had to do, Muddy, at the end of the game? To get that...
Roll a dice?
Roll a dice. And because I had to roll a dice, what happened? We got 3 out of the 4 I thought we could get.
Yeah.
But there was nothing to... Just another thing, and it's my own fault. You know, we get to the end and like, okay, so I went to do something, and then you go, oh no, we can't do that. And I said, okay, that's cool, but then, okay, I should have checked the rules, which then I could have done that, and, you know, things could have changed. So... But, you know, this is where you got to put your hand up, and if you go, right, if you're going to play a tournament seriously, you need to know the rules.
Yep, if you want to play that top part of the table.
And we were at the pointy end. That shit. So, you know, and I said, I felt terrible, because I knew driving home, like, Greg's not going to sleep tonight. I'm fucking cruising down the highway going, Greg is not going to sleep tonight. And I hope you got a bit of kip.
No, I think, because that last
He still
game...
hasn't slept.
He still hasn't.
Yeah, that last game was just such a... It was just a hard slog. I'm still debating why not we should have taken... If we should have gone first straight off. Because we won the roll. So if we had gone first, I think, and gotten ourselves in the front foot, and gone on attack rather than...
That was my call to go second.
If this rule that you guys thought you could do, but then you didn't do, but then could have done, if that had been played the way it was supposed to have been played, would that have had a...
We would have got the 4th point, yeah.
So
it would have been dramatic.
So realistically, you didn't need to change anything. You just needed to know the rules.
Yeah.
Read the rules, yeah. Read the rules.
Read the rules. That was my biggie. But yeah, it was fun.
It was a good tournament, though.
It was
fun.
a great
And we
tournament.
drank that beer, that cider, or no,
Again,
it's stout.
Stout from the
so
Brendale
good.
Brewing Company. Anyone think they were fucking marketing reps?
Jeez.
They had a big old growler stout.
Yeah, growler, love it.
So
Did you have your double shot coffee in the
Triple
start?
shot, yeah.
Triple shot, sorry. Pardon me.
It was good. It was a good day.
Yeah, so that was good. And it was good to play an Infinity event. I hadn't played since Vissi's tournament months and months ago, so leading up to CanCon, we're going to need to start picking up the game a
You
bit.
sounded a bit down last time you spoke about Infinity. So you're back? You're back?
Yeah,
In the
like
swing?
I think maybe because it wasn't an ITS event.
Yep.
It was the YAMS
Refreshing.
event. And it's a change of pace.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
you play it, you literally play it differently. So, you know, I think that was good for me. Get me out of the groove. But now, smashing ITS up until January.
Well, you better go get on the DT style of training. You'll be out in the backyard, having your missus slap you around.
There's 300 games of...
It sounds very similar to the way you were training for Blood Bowl at the back.
Yep.
By the way, have you guys been jonesing for Blood Bowl ever since we did that review?
Yeah, my kids actually, they've never painted a miniature before.
I couldn't believe that when you posted it up. That's brilliant.
My daughter and my son are like, yeah, we want to paint a miniature. And I just went to the box and said, I don't want to give them anything that I actually want to use.
No companion calorie.
And I said, here's some Blood Bowl ones that have already been primed, just sitting in a plastic box. And they, we want to paint that. And they went to town with it. And they picked their own colours and the whole thing.
That's great.
I was stoked with that. I was like, oh, nice work. Yeah.
That's great. I love paint with Lil. Like, she just sits there. She's got 2 models. And she's got an inch of paint.
Oh, they're
both of them.
they completely fucked the bristles. I just bought a new, it was a pretty new brush, and I went to go use it, and it was like, obviously you guys can't see it, but it wasn't looking
V-shaped.
Yeah, it wasn't looking like much like a brush anymore.
See, Lil's got her own brush.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go down to Mimic Games and get some more brushes, I think, because if the kids are actually going to sort of do this, I think, yeah, they're going to need their own brushes. But the other thing I've been doing with the kids, talking about the gaming, I have played some games. Dungeon Saga. It's back. The company's got it back out, and I purchased it thinking Hero Quest. That's what was going on in my head. I'm thinking this is a good way to get the kids into that style of gaming.
Yeah, reasonable. Yeah.
They are smashing it. Dad, are we going to play some dungeon game? And I'm like, no, we only do it when we're all there, so that way Mum can play as well, and
it's
the
family
kids
thing,
as well. Yeah, and so we're up to, I think, the third actual mission, and the two you got like two kind of like starter to show you how the rules work, and then 3 actual proper scenarios. But yeah, they're loving it. So now I'm like, do you paint the minis or do you not paint the minis?
Is it a board game?
Yeah, I was going to say, is it a board game?
Yeah, I know, but I really think because on the box artwork and that they've got the miniatures painted.
Well, you going to let the kids paint them?
Yeah.
Because, if you paint one, then they'll be like, hey, Dad, can I paint them? And then you're caught in being a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should do a poll. Let the peeps decide. Like,
do you
paint them or not?
Yeah.
It's a personal thing. Personally, I don't.
Yeah.
So I think it devalues it. I think it takes away from the board game. Personally, if it was a miniatures game, it'd be a different situation.
Jacob, your thoughts?
I wouldn't paint it.
Yeah, right. So we're 50-50. So let the peeps.
We're not
weigh in on it.
50.
Hang on. Yeah, we're 33-66. Because you want to paint them.
No, I'm undecided. That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
you guys
okay.
are 50-50.
Well, no, you said no.
I said no.
You said no, and I said no.
Oh, I thought you said yes.
No, I'm not. I wouldn't paint them.
Oh, okay. So I'm not painting.
I've got enough actual miniatures to paint.
Yeah, I know. That was part of the reason I was like, I don't really want to paint them.
Yeah.
But I really think they'd look good.
I swear my Marines are breeding. Every day I look up, there seems to be just one more extra unpainted Marine up there. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
And you still got to do the edge highlighting properly.
Yeah,
too.
I know. I'm looking forward to that. That's pretty much it.
I'd just like to quickly jump in here too, because I know we never talk much about the digital forms, but Total War 2's been dropped. Lizardman, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't play it. So.
Do you know what? I was gonna download it the other day.
You didn't.
I didn't. Instead, I got Fractured Butthole.
You got Fractured Butthole.
What?
The South Park RPG.
Oh, okay.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right.
It's really good.
Yeah, okay.
I just put it out the solar engines. Awesome.
They were great models. I love the models.
They're even good in this because they shoot that freaking thing miles away. You can always have like an artillery. I played the free for all, and I've never played online. And I thought, bugger this, I'm going on. I'm going to have a game, and I connected on. It's supposed to be 6 players. For some reason, when it started, most of them had all dropped out. So it was me and these other 2 dudes, and they both came running at me. One was Dark Elves with Malika flying over with a dragon, and the lizard player had about 8 of these solar engines. That's all he had, and they were just shooting laser beams at me. I was on the board for about 3 minutes. That was my intro to online gaming.
Welcome
like,
to Total War Online.
Yeah, I was a bit like, that didn't go so well, did it? But anyway, DT's on here soon, so I'm going to hit DT up because he's got Rome 2 and all the Total War games.
So we've dropped DT about a dozen times since the start of the episode.
Yeah.
We should let the listeners know that the main segment of this episode...
Oh, yeah, sorry about that.
...will be an interview with David Trickett, or DT.
Yep, or
Tough Nut,
as he likes to be called.
About his experiences over in ETC this year. So, if there's a couple of references that we're making throughout the episode
about DT,
just wait about 20 minutes. You're going to get them eventually,
and you'll know who DT is.
Yeah.
And again, it's just for Greg's sake, explicit language warning right now.
Yeah, so don't have the kids around.
Yeah.
Definitely do not have this in loudspeaker when you're doing the housework. So I've had a busy couple of weeks. So apart from Team Pro and going to CONEXIO, still doing some slow grow painting, which is slow growing, but chipping away at the.
It's too easy, Muddy. Just leave it. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't be bothered.
Playing more X-Wing with the kids and CONEXIO now. They're going to be playing it down at the cafe. So
yeah, Thursday nights are going to be Star Wars themed nights.
Yeah, which we've got cricket practice, which doesn't work out unfortunately, but I'm sure we'll get down there eventually and play. The kids are keen to take their ships down and roll some dice, which would be great. I can have some lattes.
They might be more keen to do that than actually go to the cricket.
Yes, they would be, but they still have to do cricket.
Yep.
Because that's the way it is.
I can't believe you make your kids play cricket.
I don't make them.
That's
they enjoy
cruel
it.
and unusual punishment.
They love it. I'm sure they love it.
I didn't get that feeling when I was over at your house. And you're like, look at Mr. Muddy's trying to show you how to hit the ball properly.
And they're just...
It's like, on the phone.
Yeah. On the Xbox. Yeah, don't know what you're saying. Don't know what you're talking about. What else? And probably the big thing is Alpha Bravo Charlie, the miniatures game, went semi-public, I guess.
Alpha Bravo Charlie, the miniatures
doesn't this
game.
need a
Just
little bit of an
rolls off
explanation?
I think it does.
In the same vein as the DT reference, you might need to sort of elaborate.
Just rolls off the tongue. So this has been a project that we've been working on for the past 6 months, since April.
You too.
So if you wind back the clock to... Which episode was it? It was the gaming one, the life
Life balance.
Game life balance.
That was
Yep.
it. Way back to then.
Still our
that's-
most highly downloaded episode, by the way.
Yeah, right.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's at that particular point, the game was probably born. I would have said.
That's our golden age point. That's our Devlin right there.
That's it.
So the Alpha Bravo Charlie, the miniatures game, is a modern skirmish tabletop war game for between, I would say, 5 to 12-ish miniatures. And Muddy, you've played, and Jacob has had a big handle in getting the rules sorted and everything else associated with it.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's been an awesome project. It's been interesting. It's been a bit of a roller coaster. Plenty of late nights, plenty of sleepless nights, stressful nights. But I think we've got a really good product, and we're pretty close to getting a prototype ready to get packaged off to get sent over to London for more playtesting.
Can I drop in it might be oversimplifying the game, but to me it's kind of like a mix between sort of Infinity and Malifaux.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. In a more modernish setting, obviously, but it's got those elements in it. So if you like any of those games, you're probably going to like this game.
Do you know the other thing that I'd say combined with that is also X-Wing?
Yeah, I haven't had much experience with X-Wing, but I know definitely with the other two. You know my feelings on Infinity. I don't really want to play it.
He's shaking his head like he's having a seizure right now.
Yeah, it hurts, that whole ugh. But this game I'll play at the drop of a hat. Infinity, no thanks. Malifaux, you know how much I like Malifaux.
Mhm.
So if you can combine them two together, to me, I think it's a great game.
So, Greg, like if you were going to say, you quick elevator pitch, what sets AVC apart from other games?
I think what we've tried to do is bring in elements of real life combat and make it streamlined and more lifelike, I guess, and more playable. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's streamlined, but you've still got some realistic element to it, but nothing that's clunky to make it to sort of take you out of it. So it's not super realistic where you get a lot of minutia, like you just like get bogged down in charts and whatnot. This is very free flowing, but it's got enough realism there to make it seem a little real, obviously.
Yeah. And I guess that was always the angle that we wanted to come from the very start. The very concept was all about realism and strategy and putting the two of them together in a playable environment that made you make the board come alive and make this scenario come alive, and the fact that the whole real life element sort of pop off the board more.
I think part of the reason that it feels real lifelike is your actual the storyline to this game, because as soon as you sent me that, especially when you sent me that link of what the game is sort of its theme, I was like, yeah, because it is very close.
It's believable.
You could argue to what could actually possibly occur.
Yeah. So to give the listeners a bit of background, it's set roughly about 25 years in the future, and there's been essentially a nuclear disaster in Germany, which is causing massive humanitarian problems, compounded by other issues in the Middle East, and other issues in Europe has created a massive melting pot in Western Europe, and is tied up all the local NATO forces. So the French, the Italian, and the Germans forces are all tied up dealing with this crisis on a humongous scale, to the point where even probably the world is struggling to cope with it. And then, compounded by all of this, Russia's decided to nudge its way into a few of its bordering countries, and essentially Britain has been sent into these bordering countries to work out what's going on and why what's happening, basically, because we're all in a bit of a turmoil, and that's currently where it's up to at the moment, storyline. So yeah, it's a bit edgy,
but it's also got the conspiracy theory as to how this there's a nuclear reactor accident.
Yeah,
as
well, it's unexplained.
And whether Russia's used this or possibly caused this to push, while the world's basically looking at the smoke over here, they're off pushing their agendas in other areas.
That's exactly
blindsiding
right.
the world. And so now you're wondering, was it a terrorist attack, or were the Russians involved? And it's just so, I don't know, like this could actually be a thing.
Yeah, the angle has always been a gritty storyline with gritty miniatures to go with it.
It's not a pretty world.
But it's not a disastrous world either. It's not apocalyptic.
It's not apocalyptic, but it's not some utopian thing. This is a world that's in crisis and trying to find its feet.
That's right. But Joe Bloggs is still going to work every day, and Mrs. Smith is still taking the kids to footy every Saturday. Like that's still happening. But on the global scale, politically, things are on a knife edge. So yeah, so I don't want to talk too much more about it.
I'm sure we'll get more news about Alpha Bravo Charlie, the miniatures game, as it all comes to hand. If you're interested, listeners, be sure to check out the Facebook page, which is Alpha Bravo Charlie, the miniatures game.
Yes.
Or at ABCTGM. No,
that's it.
ABCTMG
game.
There'll be a link.
There'll be links.
There'll be a link.
And it's still at early stages, but
it's at early stages, but to the point where the core mechanics are bedded down. It's just all about the funny things that happen whenever you play a game, and the interactions where just unforeseeable things happen, and we need to just work out those unforeseeable things.
Yeah, which you're going to get when more people
exactly right
put their minds into trying to break something, which is remember Games Workshop products, remember those?
Yep.
Yeah.
We need people to break it.
They send it out to a bunch of people.
Games Workshop.
Yeah, they send it out to the masses, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, how does Predatory Fighter work? I remember that straight away. You're like, oh, crap, house rule. And they used to have problems all the time.
So yeah, it's exciting times.
It's very exciting. So it's busy 2 weeks.
It's been amazing watching it come to life. And can I just say, watching the whole process of creating a game has just given me a huge amount of respect for people that do it. I was mainly involved with the rules, but watching Greg stress and work over getting the miniatures sorted and all the stuff that goes with it.
Look, it's all about having a good team around you, and I'm blessed to have people like yourself and you, Muddy, as well. Anybody who's willing to put time in to help out the whole process. I have to pat in the back and say thanks a million, because it would not have got to this stage without the people around me.
Just keep buying me growlers, mate.
Yeah.
Remember, that's the beer jug, not.
Oh
yeah.
Is that a lager?
Growler.
No, it's a form of receptacle to put beer in. A beer holding device.
We'll get you a couple of growlers at the
fucking hell
power stance drinking. All right.
I was gonna eat kebabs.
All right, cool. So, mate, that's it's exciting, and as I said, we'll put some stuff on and get people to check it out. But I think we've rabbited on long enough. Should we get into the news?
Let's do the news. I bet it's exciting.
Cool. Tell us about the news.
Wicked, man. Well, again, like ever, because we're in the golden age, there's so much to talk about. So, kick it off with Muddy, Kings of War.
Oh, this is
Get into it. You gotta repeat, dude.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah?
That's better. Yep.
So you just said Kings of War.
Muddy, Kings of War.
Vanguard's been pretty much hit the Facebook pages and the net, and yeah, it's confirmed. It's the skirmish take of the game. They're releasing in dribs and drabs the rules for it, but typical me style. I haven't really gone through and read it. I noticed that they're using like D8s, and they've releasing sort of images of the artwork for miniatures that are going to be coming out for it, including a render of an elf, and it's very much the sort of what you would expect from like a G-dub type elf, very bit more bulky, and I'll be honest, because I'm from that vein of the style, it looks good.
Yeah,
if it comes out anything like what that render looks like, they're onto a winner with their elves.
I have to agree. I think they've picked up their elves. The Mantic elves
are shit.
Have been terrible for a long time. But if this is how their new elves are going, like
if they come
it's
out with
great.
that,
yeah,
they'll fly off the shelves because they'll be half the price as well.
As I said when we were chatting about it, like it's got the G-dub feel, which feels much more like an elf to me.
Yeah, that's where we're coming from, and let's be honest, most people that are probably playing this system in some way are probably ex-refugees or at least know the G-dub line. I'd be really intrigued to know how much of their elves they actually sell. But if they're going to be bringing out, I don't know if this is just for a character model, which, let's be honest, could be the case.
Could be, yeah.
I'm not sure. But if they're going to bring out, if they can do that for an elf, then they can do that for elves.
Yeah.
Either way. So if that's even remotely what that's coming out, like I'm pretty impressed.
I think it's a big step up in their renders.
Yeah.
Their 3D sculpting.
Yeah.
Is...
So I know we talk about Mantic, that they have been around a while, but they're only in their second release for their fantasy game. This is a big jump, and if there are still people talking about a third edition. If they come out with a third edition, I imagine there'll be some tweaks here and there. They may use some of the campaign type rules that came out with the Edge of the Abyss and Clash of Kings, whatnot. Miniatures of that quality going along with it, like that's leaps and bounds ahead of where they're at.
And interestingly, being released on Kickstarter.
Yes. All right, do it.
I'm not doing it. I've done it enough.
I'm not a fan of it either, to be honest.
I thought they'd learnt the lesson with the terrain. I was pretty disappointed with that attitude.
I really thought the terrain was going to be their last pot shot.
I think it's completely unnecessary. Completely unnecessary.
And it comes back to what I said. They have to have the capital, or they have to have an investor.
Yeah. The only
whether
argument,
that's someone that's got to recognise that this is where it goes, and it's. Well, is it taking dollars out of other Kickstarters? Who knows? But it's certainly deflecting attention away from.
But here's the thing.
Stuff.
What annoys me is that you'll back it because it's new and shiny, and then like Walking Dead, what happened to you, Muddy?
Yep.
You don't get the kit until you're the last person to get the kit, and Jacob, who never backed it, who never funded it, who never actually helped get them the project over the line.
Yep. Jacob
gets it way before you.
Oh,
and I think that to me completely is the wrong business model, personally.
I would agree, except there was an issue that me and Slopster apparently hadn't finalised our shipping details, and that was actually the problem.
Right.
So I actually saved money in the end because they express posted it because they told me something incorrectly when I first asked about what the go was with the product, and because they gave me the wrong information in regards to the shipping, they express posted it out as fast as
So all the people in Australia got the game, like the Kickstarter edition, before
some
retail?
People in Australia had it well before I did. Mine was literally a cock up. But back to the Kickstarter. Once again, I'm not happy with it either. But they've got this idea in their head that the more money essentially that people drop on it means that they can release more stuff quicker to get the product out quicker and more of it in a quicker turnover type style. Yeah, that does work, but like you guys have said, and I kind of agree. It's kind of like, really, it sort of sends a bad image out, possibly about the companies, maybe not financially as well as maybe you might think or something, but to their point, they're just trying to get as much product as they can. It pushes things further ahead. So they might be able to do a year's worth of stuff in one go because they've got the massive influx of cash at the start to be able to push all of that. Whether that helps or not, I don't know. But either way, it looks like it's another Kickstarter.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
So we've also got Infinity, or I should say Corvus Belli, with some new releases. So Aristea, it's out, or certainly some of the Workhorse have got copies. It was on Infinity Australia's Facebook page. One of the guys, Gavin Bateman, he put up a bit of a review, and it sounds quite promising, I have to say. Both the miniature quality, the plastic miniature quality, is, for board game plastic miniature quality, is very high, and they thought the miniatures were excellent, and the game is excellent. So,
do you know what though? The Hex Stadium, whatever it is. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see how it plays.
Yeah.
So it's literally a board game.
Yeah,
it is a board game. Yeah.
And
Yep.
the whole
Kit and caboodle.
Blood Bowl.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just spoiled by playing on Great Infinity Terrain 90% of the time, but
Does it
seeing a
have no-
flat
doesn't it
board
have-
with counter terrain.
What?
It's the same as when you play Walking Dead with the counters.
Oh, you can't do that.
It's a board game.
It is a board game. Yeah.
Has it got rules like Walking Dead? You can put your 3D terrain. You can go to town on it.
Oh, I can
People
imagine.
will eventually.
I can imagine.
Yeah,
There'd be
okay.
nothing
Well,
stopping
that's,
you.
I'm okay with that. That's
Yep.
fine. But
Yeah.
like Walking Dead, once again, we've got to play that again soon, mate. That's a classic game that, as a board game, it's a decent board game, but it really comes to life once
With
you
the
put
terrain.
the terrain on.
Yeah, totally.
And the rules facilitate that.
And I
so
think we'll
hopefully
see
this'll
some.
be like that for
We'll
you
see
guys.
some custom stadiums springing up. I'm almost certain of.
So is there terrain in the actual?
Just 2D.
No, but there is actual terrain.
They're like little
so-
hex pylons that are like line of sight blocking and that sort of
Right.
stuff.
Okay. Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I haven't really seen it, so I'd be interested to see what it looks like once it's all done properly.
Yeah,
But
when are you getting
interestingly-
your copy? I want to play it.
Good. Well, it was interesting. I actually had a revelation during the week, and I wasn't going to buy it because I don't have time. I just time poor.
Did
between
we hit a sensitive point in our golden age of gaming where realistically you're only playing?
there's only
one
so many
game?
minutes and hours and seconds in the day, and you've got to.
Sounds like we did.
But
I'm not saying nothing.
But then I sent a message to Gavin just asking the question. Well, could what do you reckon the age range would be to play? And
Are
he
you
said,
trying to get your kids in?
he said, yeah, 10 up. He reckoned would be more than feasible, and
But-
my kids are used to playing board games to a
But-
certain extent.
Are your kids going to want to play that, or because your kids are mad keen Star Wars?
Yeah, I
Right.
think they'll play anything that's logical and fun. They'll play for sure, especially shooting guns. Like it goes back to that Overwatch. It's the whole Overwatch thing.
Yeah,
so
your kids are in Overwatch.
my older
right? Yeah.
one, my eldest one, will just straight away would pick it up and go.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would get the connection between what they're trying to do in Overwatch.
Yep.
So totally. So I think I'll get it, and yeah, hopefully get them into it. Fingers crossed. And if not, so what? It's a game
You know
I'll
what you
play
could
with you guys.
do?
Yeah, bring it
You-
around and play it.
Bring it home, put it in front of them, and say, "All right, boys, you either play this with Dad, or you got to go to cricket training."
I'll play.
I'll play it, Dad. I'll play it.
I don't mind cricket training. We also have the November Infinity releases.
Wait, still on Aristea.
Yep.
They've released the
Oh, that's
a
right.
preview shot of the first
The booster
expansion pack.
Yep.
And it's got Senior Massacre in it, Matty. If you're unfamiliar, Senior Massacre is the model that they've based on Deadpool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, got
Right.
So he's a
cool.
mercenary in a red and black jumpsuit with
Yep.
two swords.
Yep.
And that's
Nice.
I'm keen to see that model in the
And
flesh.
his mum's name's Martha.
Martha,
Right?
yeah.
That looks pretty cool, I'd say.
Yeah.
I do like that pose.
And the Thor chick as well. I was like,
Yeah.
she's pretty cool. So we'll put the snap up on Facebook if we haven't already by the time this episode comes out. And you can post, check it out.
And then we've got the November Infinity releases. So,
Tactical rocks everywhere.
yes.
Have they got a blister you can just buy with more tactical rocks?
Well,
Yeah,
we've
it
got,
should
we've
have.
got a tactical box. This is and a tactical
The
corpse.
Tactical Corpse is incredibly... I just don't know what possessed them to do
Well,
that.
it's Joan of Arc. So
Yeah,
it's Joan
I
of
get
Arc.
it.
She's got a sword held high, muddy, standing on a dead alien, and it's like
Is she
Well,
on
the alien's
fire?
actually grabbing her leg, and any, like...
They did burn her to death, right?
Joan of Arc, yeah.
Yeah.
Joan
I'm
would
making
have-
sure I wasn't getting my history.
Joan would have chopped his head off. Like, he would be dead enough that he's not going to be able to put his hand up on her leg. So I don't know.
So we're saying that's a bit of a fail.
I don't like it personally. Like, I've got the other Joan, which was you got with the Angel Heraldez.
Heraldez, yeah.
And that's to me a much better miniature than what this is.
I
But
agree, yeah.
At least you don't have to buy the book to get it, so it's more accessible to
Look,
the public.
At least they're trying to move away from the rock.
Yeah.
You got to give them some points, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Very true.
They're branching out.
Yeah.
The Ariadna Spec Ops
Love it.
model.
So much better than the Gen Con version.
The SAS
in my
one,
opinion.
the
Yeah.
Gen Con, yeah, agree. I still like the old one, though.
Yeah, okay.
The
Yeah.
old one.
He's not too bad.
But you've
Yeah.
got choices now, right?
That's it, you got choices. The new one's way easier to convert,
Mm.
which is good. For your Spec Ops Muddy, you want to give them whatever weapons you want. So
Yeah.
it's way easier to convert than the old one. So, but yeah, I still like the old one. I'm not going to buy a new one. I still like my old one.
Yeah. And then you got the Mubes.
Yeah, but see, I've got half a dozen of them already.
You can never have enough of whatever
Exactly.
they are.
And when was the last time I played Assassins? I know they're good now, but like,
But that's the new, like, with ITS, and I know you've mentioned this before, like, to a certain extent, it plays into the hand of Assassin Sectorial.
totally.
Like,
yeah.
to the point of broken. Like, at Gen Con, I'll be not be surprised if we see 10 plus Assassin Sectorials.
Look, if I wasn't locked in to playing fucking Toha,
The Master Race?
yeah, I would be playing Assassins at CanCon. And JT, if you're listening to this, I really need those bases, buddy.
Just put them on rocks.
Yeah, big
From the
old
garden.
dactyl rocks.
Yeah.
Well, this was the point JT brought up when we were talking about it. He's like, it's almost like they're doing it to stop the custom base people.
Yeah.
Because if you've got a tactical corpse on Joan of Arc, it becomes a pain in the ass to chop that off.
Yeah,
and
you're not going to do it by damaging the miniature.
put her on a
It's all
custom
metal
base.
too, right?
Yeah.
Like, I use warehouse bases. That's my theme for my army is warehouse style. So anything with a rock just sucks.
Which
so
is-
bad.
For
You
my
need
hack,
boxes.
I've
You
got
need boxes.
I made boxes for my miniatures.
Yeah.
Carl,
I've got slate.
Right. We need a blister pack of boxes.
Yeah, so my hack's all based on slate. So rocks are perfect. I'm tactical rocks, yeah, all day. It's when they bring out a box, I'm like, what the fuck?
That doesn't fit the Badlands.
Yeah.
And then we've got Joe Scarface Turner. They brought him out.
Yep.
which
Because now you
is-
need pilots for your tags. Yeah.
You do, but I still Scarface was available to every army last ITS.
Yeah.
This year it's still not clarified whether or not he's available to every army, so it's kind of like
Well, is he not in Army 6?
not yet. As of a week or two ago,
Well-
week ago,
Yeah, I don't know. But a lot of people still have the model from when he was available.
I
to
bought
everyone.
it because I thought it would carry over to
Of
this
course he
ITS.
bloody bought it.
Yeah.
He's got fitted models hanging out his
But they're
arse.
definitely not making these rules changes to drive model sales, mate.
No.
No, of course not. And suckers like me buying them, going, yeah, because of course that's going to hang around, just like they did with the live crew.
Yeah.
I bought 3 models specifically for that, and then
2
somebody
live
said,
crew?
yeah, you realise that they're not going to be around next year. They're all being split up. Well,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Although Kiss will look really good in your
Combined army.
army. That you're never going to buy.
Yeah, never going to have. Anyway, okay. So,
Sorry, Muzz.
we've
No,
got
you're good.
some GW news. We've got the Eldar Codex released. Big one on the horizon, Necromunda.
Still no Necrons.
Yeah. See, I've backed a bit away from 40k at the moment. Because I was in a couple of 40k chats, 40k groups, and it just turned into how overpowered Imperial Guard are.
What?
And that was like everything. It's like, yeah, but Imperial Guard's overpowered. And we're like, oh, yeah, this is good. Oh, yeah, but Imperial Guard is overpowered. And apparently they're just cheese now.
Really?
Yeah, really. They just do everything in the game really well. So it's going to be really interesting to see when we go
Wow.
down to CanCon what the scene's like. But they're like I was reading a couple of days ago, like tournaments in the US just debating, do we just outright ban Guard?
No way.
Is it
Ban
that
an
bad?
entire army.
Shit.
Yeah.
But hang on, isn't this the G-dub? Isn't this the trap that people fall into time and time again? And we've all been there and done it time and time again with fantasy. The G-dub trap of always chasing the next book, the next big thing. At the moment it's Imperial Guard.
Yeah.
The Imperial Guard will come out. Guess what? It'll get nerfed, or it'll get trumped by the next book. And guess what? It'll be the next big thing. Dark Eldar. It'll be
So,
whatever.
It's really interesting. And the flip side and as you mentioned with the Eldar book coming out, is people going, oh, it's just going to be the next thing that can kill Guard. But then the other flip side is people saying, well, these books have been written for a year. It's been over a year since this stuff's come out. And while they were play tested, they weren't play tested necessarily in conjunction with all the other books. So what's powerful in one book is weak in another, and all that sort of stuff. And because all the game's down to basically rerolls and +1s and -1s, all the special rules sort of condensed down to that basic formula. It's really interesting to see how they play against each other. So I'm watching intently the 40k releases over the next few months, but I have no desire to play in an event right now, I can tell you that.
Really?
That's never been us anyway.
Well, see, I was kind of G'd up. When I got all my Marines, I started painting them, I got all excited, but then it's like, oh, this again.
I think this is a game you play with your mates.
I got the impression in the last at Crusade, you would have played in the 40k tournament had you have had painted.
If it had been 1,000 points, it would have been there. Yeah. It was 1,500, so I just didn't have the models. So, anyway.
So the next thing is we've got the big announcement of WizKids and G-Dub partnering up in 2018. Now, I know nothing about WizKids, so enlighten me, gentlemen. What's it all about? The bit of brief news I read about them is that they're shit, or they did produce shit games. Is that too harsh?
No, they used to be more of like a standard entry,
right?
Sort of thing.
But have you got an example? An example game?
They did Star Trek and whatnot.
They did HeroClix.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know HeroClix. I've never played it, but I know of it. But that's very much like a kids game.
Entry level.
Entry.
So
maybe that's where G-Dub's going. Maybe they want new blood.
So they did
new drug addicts.
Use Star Trek
Attack Wing.
Yeah, so the Star Trek version of X-Wing.
Right. That's just new though. That's just recent in the past
couple of years.
It's been around a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it not good things spoke about it?
No, I'll be honest. I don't
competing against X-Wing, really.
I don't.
And it's a poor IP.
Yeah.
I'm not let's be honest. Most people either are into Star Trek or Star Wars.
Yeah.
You can't. I don't know.
Star Trek's never been it's not a spaceship combat like genre. It's more RPG for sure because the shows are all driven by that narrative. It's never like attack.
I've only seen a few of their movies, and isn't it always usually the human ship gets the shit kicked out of it, and then it comes back and beat up
pretty much
the alien?
I watched like Star Trek Voyager, Star Trek Generation, Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
There's never big battles, right?
Yeah,
it's always just one ship. Just
Deep Space Nine was progressing towards a more grittier, fleet against fleet scenes. But that's only because I think they probably needed it to G up the game to sort of something different, as opposed to Goody goes out and saves the, he's gooder than good.
But they're good movies. I've never watched the TV series.
The series,
some of the movies are actually really good.
The series are better, I'd say.
Is it the Borg? Is it what they?
The Borg.
Couldn't
tell
the
ones that they sort of amalgamate
cyborgs.
I thought they were really cool.
Yeah, they are. They're pretty bad, but they actually brought in a better bad guy in Deep Space Nine, where I think they called the Dominion from memory.
Yeah.
And they were like from a different quadrant of space, and they were like all about total, domination of whatever sector they went into.
Yeah.
And it was really good. Like into torturing people, and it was a lot more
gritty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to WizKids.
Yeah.
My understanding of the company is that they license stuff. They license DC, they license Marvel, they license Ninja Turtles, they license Star Trek, and they pump out the same thing with a different brand, basically.
They changed the.
So we're going to see.
The cover.
We're going to see 40k Dice Masters, which is like their collectible dice game.
The DC ones they got like these dice games and whatnot as well.
So
it's entry level stuff.
It is.
So possibly G-Dub's looking at it, going, "This is how we possibly
get stuff in."
Gateway,
is
that what this is all about?
It's a poor imitation compared to Fantasy Flight Games, to be honest. Like I think they dropped the ball by splitting up with Fantasy Flight Games.
I've never understood that decision.
Fantasy Flight Games is just I shouldn't say hate using the word quality, but they are like every game is just it works really well.
Well, the ones that we've played, they've
Yeah,
got so many games, and with the role playing and everything else as well. But I don't know why they did what they did, but someone else be able to tell us what the actual nuts and bolts of that decision would be.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. Like you said, WizKids is entry level. It'll be interesting to see what comes of it.
Yeah.
All right, next up in the G-Dub wrap up, we've got Warhammer Underworld Shadespire, which is the Age of Sigmar Warband.
Yeah.
game.
What the frick does that mean?
It's a skirmish game.
Fucking. All right.
Is this
Isn't
going to
that
mean
what
it's going to size up to like it's going to start off as skirmish and then it's going to size up to
But isn't that what Age of
100
Sigmar
miniatures?
was? It was
No.
a fucking skirmish game.
It was
I don't
supposed to be,
know.
but no, it didn't turn out that way.
Look, it's people are excited about it.
Yep.
You know, even in our group of gamers, there are
Really?
people that are
Yeah.
keen on this.
Super keen.
The miniatures are good.
Yep.
Of course they are.
Yeah, of course
That's
they are.
G-Dub.
The Citadel
No
miniatures, yeah.
shit. But really?
Yeah, so I don't know.
Why don't
Like,
you play
I'm-
fucking Age of Sigmar?
But see, I think there's...
No, but I think it's more about combos, and it's more like I guess going back to what you said, Malifaux is a game that springs to mind when I think of Shadespire with the combos and the
okay.
list building and all that sort of
And
stuff.
cards and
Yeah.
stuff. And it's going to be a collectible game too, so you buy the miniature, it comes with its cards, and it's...
Like X-Wing.
Ah, okay.
So it'd be interesting to see how it plays out. But as I said, there's probably 3 or 4 guys I know that have just gone and bought the starter. So,
Well, look, you know what? Limited time, and there's another fucking game.
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
You got time to play it?
And I mentioned at the start
You
when
can't even play a wrist the fucking whatever.
I mentioned at the start when I
That's
mentioned
now the official name of that
The
game,
wrist
by
the
the way.
fucking whatever.
the G-Dub Necromunda. We haven't mentioned that. Like I mentioned it, but then we got
And see,
sidetracked.
I've purposefully been avoiding reading about Necromunda. Because I know if I get too
You'll get
into it,
keen.
I'll
So
do it.
so you're
But then I saw the Escher Ganger miniatures today, all the chicks, and I was like, oh,
I have to say
they're so good.
That's a lot of
it's
terrain.
Goliath, isn't it? Is the I do
Goliaths.
not like Goliath.
Oh,
like
they were my
they look
fave.
pants, but the Escher,
Yeah.
they look good.
I'll have to have a look.
They did
Are
look
the
good.
Goliaths that
They
bad?
weren't yoga pants.
Are they wearing yoga pants?
Yeah.
The Goliaths
They're
are a
like Milli
bit...
Vanilli.
No,
Remember Milli Vanilli? They used to wear yoga pants and like big jackets or something.
no,
stupid.
the Escher, the chick gang.
Oh, I thought you
not
were talking about
Goliath.
Goliaths. Okay.
No, not the
I thought
Goliath.
they like wrestling.
That'd be
leotards.
awkward.
Yeah.
It'd
The
be just-
Goliaths remind me of
Ballback.
Running Man. That sort of
Oh,
aesthetic.
Yeah, like the powerlifting type
Yeah.
leotards.
Yeah. Yeah, or
Oh.
late 1980s WWF
Yeah.
wrestling dudes
Yeah, they should be more looking like
with fake tans.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they're like.
They should be more like Judge Dredd sort of
Yeah,
bad guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, fatties? Or
Well,
little...
not fatty, but like a bit more ragged looking.
Yeah.
You're not like
street gangs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Necromunda. That'll be watch the space.
And again, I'm sure people will buy the game when we can try it. Please.
Interestingly,
How much
also
does it cost?
it's not released yet, so it's just this is on the
Haven't put a
horizon.
price- they
No,
haven't
not
put a
yet.
price on
But
it yet?
I imagine it'd come out the same price as Dark Imperium and Blood Bowl, so you're looking at 160.
yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. Oh, unless you go into one of our favoured
Yeah,
Sellers.
if you're a cagey shopper and you know where to go.
Also released, we had the Primaris Super Heavy Tank, and I'm saying that trying not to laugh because I did see a picture of it. I don't know if you've seen it, but
No,
I had
I
a picture of
haven't
it,
seen it.
right?
That's like the whole table.
Yeah.
What is that like? 8?
Oh, you haven't got the picture. The picture I meant, right? The picture I've got of it has got G.I. Joe. You know the G.I. Joe thing?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And that's fucking gold. Like, it just totally suits it. Remember the G.I. Joe minute, the figures? The 6-inch, 4-inch?
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it there. That totally suits it. It's like, those
Man, the
those-
boards aren't big enough for this stuff.
those little dudes were like this size. Like, that's gotta be.
Jesus. How
Oh,
much
I
is that?
cracked up.
Fucking 500
Oh,
bucks?
yeah, like, and the rest. And then we've also got, we're recording?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've also got the Tau Tiger Shark AX-1-0, which is a Titan killer. It's a Tau flying spaceship thingy.
Is it as big
thing.
as that thing?
It's bigger.
It's bigger.
Yeah. But it comes with 2 free 2 free pilots.
Does it come with a rock?
It does come with a rock. It would need to have some steel work in it, I reckon,
Gee,
for
alright.
reinforcing. It is huge. It's massive.
I just don't like the models are great, but the board's not big enough to be.
I don't think people care. They'll just go, yeah, I'll buy it.
Just looks.
Where's my wallet?
Because the models are great, don't get me wrong, but I know when we used to walk past the 40k tables, you're just like, that model is just too big to be on this little battlefield
Yep.
doing what it's doing. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, this is what they should be doing for Epic.
Moving on, we've got the Malifaux. Obviously, listen to our podcast. Why is that? I hear you cry? Because they're bringing their books out in digital. Hey?
Yeah.
Just for you, Muddy.
I know, they've just gone,
I think, again,
obviously.
Power Stance Gamers podcast, they've got an exclusive. Like, you called it. You called it with the Fallout game.
Yep.
Then we called it with something else. It escapes me what it was, but anyway.
Oh, guaranteed we'd called shit. That's for sure.
Yeah, we're always calling something out.
I know this. The faux.
Yeah,
the
how
books
good
in
is
digital.
that? Like,
Yeah.
I think that's great. I don't, from what I read, I'm not sure if all the rule books are coming out, if it's just this new edition. But it'd be good if they do just go, you know what, digital, because it's, I love the digital.
Do you know what
format.
I'd love from them though? Is it official army builder?
Like an app.
Like an app.
Yeah, that would be pretty good.
I know there's fan made ones there, but
You like the official.
I
stuff.
like the official.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Because you're gonna have the cards.
Yep.
You're gonna have the stuff there.
Yep.
So that'd be nice.
Hopefully they listen
No,
to this
yeah,
too.
yeah.
You know
Well,
what,
let's just add it to the wish list. Let's
why not? Oh, I know what it was. It was the game locator.
Next on my list. That's
Oh,
right. So we've called it 3
missed
times.
that one.
We've called it 3
That's
times.
That's on a Kickstarter
yeah.
too.
Yep.
I told you to call some dudes in Mumbai and get that app made, mate. I told you to
We could
do
be
it.
rolling in it right now.
Oh, it could be like
Hang up the
filthy
boots,
rich,
just
right?
go, yeah, let's do
Yeah,
it.
fuck
That's
it.
it. Buy
So-
the condo up in the coast.
Yeah,
Job done.
Chicks just bringing me drinks in
Pina
the yoga
coladas.
pants.
So you're telling me Grinder for Gamers is coming out?
Pretty much.
Tinder.
Sorry.
Tinder. I mean Tinder for Gamers.
It's called Play Pals.
Play
Because
Pals.
that's not gay at all.
yeah,
Can we say that? Can't say that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
It's not happy.
Play pals.
Play Pals.
Yeah, you think you could have come up with something
Play
better.
Pals. You'd think some bit more macho, a bit more robust.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
You know?
But no.
But you know what? It'll probably,
Gaming for dudes.
It'll work.
You reckon?
Yeah,
It's a good idea.
It's a great idea.
I think it's because there's already those meetup
It's already there.
things. Like it's there. So just tailor it to a specific audience
All
and
it's-
make it convenient in an app.
All it's going to do is have in the search to match people up is keywords,
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
obviously the game system in the whatever suburb you're in. Like, but for techie guys that know that stuff, I'm assuming it wouldn't be too hard.
No.
I wonder if you can you'd be able to rate your PayPal like you can Uber drivers. So if you don't, because then you just like texting a dude.
Ass crack hanging out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just texting a dude, and then it's
Cheater.
like a 6'6" Sasquatch rocks up on your door, smelling like he's just come out of the bushes,
It wouldn't surprise me though.
and then you're like, oh, this could be a mistake. I could be afraid for my kids. At
Can
this
you rate
stage.
people on Tinder?
Ooh, I don't know.
I don't
been
know.
on
I've
it.
never been happily married men. We don't know the answer to this question.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Oh, Tinder ratings. That would be the funniest shit to read.
What, like this chick puts out.
But you
Yeah.
know what? If
Tiny cock.
you can't
Whoops.
rate them, that could be an app. We could come up with
Tinder
something.
ratings.
I've got something.
Call those dudes in Mumbai right now. Get on it.
Sell.
You heard it here first, listeners. That's our fourth. I bet you that's our fourth prediction right there.
Tinder ratings.
If it doesn't already exist, of course, which it may well
We
do.
could do.
Yeah, we don't know. And finally, the Fallout minigame.
Yeah.
Would you listen to this? How much are you going to drop on this?
1,200.
What?
Yep. He said it. I couldn't believe it when he mentioned it. He mentioned the Team Pro. I was like, are you kidding? He's like, no.
What do you mean you're dropping 1,200 on a board game? What are you talking about?
Well,
What do you get?
I haven't fully committed to the 1,200. I'm just wondering how long I'm going to have to sleep on the couch if I do this. Like, that's...
Hang on,
But
you
it-
just bought a car that's worth considerably more than $1,200, and you got away with that.
Yeah, I'm on thin ice already.
Serves a purpose though. It's a car, like it does.
So
stuff.
is this. As long as you don't paint the miniatures,
So-
this is going to appreciate.
What do you get for 1200?
It's not paint the miniatures for sure.
Or are you going to paint them?
It's a tabletop game. It's
Oh,
not
it's
a board game.
Oh, right.
What do you get for $1,200?
So you get basically 2 copies of every miniature they're releasing and a shitload of terrain and all collected stuff, and it's the worst.
It's like blah, 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 don't care, bling, bling, bling.
You get a reach around, like they come around.
Well, I'd want to, because I'm certainly not getting it from my wife.
I was gonna say,
It's much worth the models.
you're gonna need some professional service.
So, look,
Is this why you're spending $4
on terrain. So look, I probably won't go the 1200 route.
You say that, but you've got a glint in your eye.
I said probably won't.
Do you know when does this come out?
It's still not for a couple of months. It won't be in Australia for a couple of months.
So not in time for Christmas.
No.
There's your Chrissy present. $1,200.
Yeah, my Chrissy present's sitting in the garage.
I think it was your birthday present as well, wasn't it?
I think that's an everything
how you
present
justify
until
it.
the rest of time. Nah, so I'm really keen, and as soon as I get my hands on some miniatures, I'm there. I've even been looking at what shades of blue paint I need to get the jumpsuits right.
Maybe you should hit them up for a free copy to review.
That's not a crazy idea, Mr. Muddyman. They were looking for regional representatives as well
Yep, there you go.
to demo games. If I had more free time, I would have been all
That
over it.
might save you $1,200. Might want to make some time.
Yeah, I'll investigate it. We'll see how it works out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just the miniatures are so good, and they're just so true to the game. That's the best bit. Like, they look spot on.
So it sounds like it's more of an investment than.
Don't use that word around me.
I was going to appreciate.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Especially with all the bling that you'll get with it.
Yeah, all the bling.
Yeah.
Limited edition.
Yeah.
Have they used the words limited edition?
Yeah.
Is limited edition used in the 1200?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you can't not. You can't not do
He's
it.
gonna
We'll
do
see.
it.
We'll
He's
see.
gonna
He'll do it.
All right. What else is in the news? What else is in the news?
That's
Have
it
you
for
got a
me.
tucked away little credit card stash somewhere?
No.
Go get
No.
one. Quick.
Not
Like,
for minis.
All the people who don't game have got gambling accounts that are separate to.
Yeah, they're
like,
broke.
Yeah. Well, they're not broke. I've got friends that have got gambling accounts that's separate to their main income stream and stuff, and it's all siphoned off. So I mean, that's totally legit.
It's really not. It's kind of the opposite of legit.
It's legit as far as it's legal. It's not legit in
Relationship terms.
a sort of relationship terms.
Yeah, morally, ethically, no. But yeah.
You'll be right.
All right, let's wrap up the news then, lads. Unless you got anything to add, Mr. Muddy?
Nah, I'm out.
Me too. Great job. All right, let's jump into the whip round. We might get an actual whip sound.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a big question, but we'll try and keep it pretty brief because we want to get straight into this interview. And that is...
Hang on, you mean the explicit interview?
Exclusive interview.
It's an exclusive.
Explicit interview.
And the question that we're posing tonight is, what is your take on the state of fantasy gaming at the moment? I'm going to throw to Mr. Greg first.
Yeah, it's probably in a state of flux, I'd say. Like, personally, I don't play much fantasy at this stage. Was a big 8th Edge gamer. At this stage, playing a lot of sci-fi and modern stuff, obviously. So it's difficult. It's a difficult question. I would say, though, that even though it's in a state of flux, it's still pretty exciting. We're going to chat to DT later on, and apparently 9th 2.0 is going to drop, which is going to be the next big rule set, which will hopefully be a bit more stable for a period of time. And look, we loved 8th edition, and essentially 9th is a continuation of that to a certain extent. So I'd be keen to crack out the dice and have a crack at that whenever it gets bedded down and gets stable. Kings of War, I would say I'd be keen for more Triumph and Treachery. Not Triumph and Treachery.
Kings of Treachery.
Kings of Treachery. I can edit that. So Kings of Treachery, I'd be keen for that, because I think that's a really good platform for that style of game, and I think with some beers and you boys, I think, had lots of fun last time. So I'd be keen to play that again. I think it's a good rule set. The one thing I would say though, Rune Wars. I have to say, every time I look at the models, and it's a Fantasy Flight game. I was just thinking about it there now. It just looks great. The models look great.
Can I jump on the Rune War thing?
Yeah.
I actually don't like it.
Right.
That's why I thought I'd bring it up. You seem quite keen on it. I think it's got too many, in the typical Fantasy Flight genre, tokens and dials and all this sort of stuff going on. I find that a little bit excessive in a fantasy game. It takes away from the board. And it looks a little messy.
Can do, yeah. No, I agree with you there.
Well, yeah, I haven't played it. I was just purely looking at aesthetics and Fantasy Flight. The fact that they're behind it, I reckon it'd be pretty good.
Well, I know this isn't a fantasy game, but then what about when the Game of Thrones thing comes out? Is that something?
I just still count that as a fantasy game.
Yeah, totally. But I guess just the bulk of it's going to be human against human. The bulk of it.
But it's got that IP, and you've read all the books. Is that something that makes you go, pick a house that whatever your favourite house is in?
I'd be more inclined to play the board game that you've got than like a truly strategic strategy game, as opposed to a miniatures game. Would be my take on that. But never say never.
Do you know what it is for me when I think fantasy is? I cannot comprehend playing a mass battle game again at the moment. Having hundreds of minis on the board, it's
almost alien.
It does. It feels alien, and I want to, and I look at my armies and go, man, it'd be great to crack them out again. But then I think about the logistics and taking the minis off and all that shit. And I know that's where Kings of War comes in.
Taking minis off.
But even then, you look at Kings of War, I'm like,
that's missing something.
It's missing something for me.
Yeah.
And I've tried, and Triumphant Kings of Treachery.
Yep.
Makes something happen in that game that I feel is missing otherwise. That's probably that interaction. But still I don't know. It's a tough one for me. I think I'm kind of more excited, and I look at a lot of the some of the skirmishy games coming out that have come out the past few years for fantasy, and they probably grab my attention more than anything else. And this Shadespire is coming out that we just mentioned, and even Age of Sigmar, I'd still like to give that a crack again now that the dust settled and it's become its own game rather than a bastard stepchild of fantasy. Be good to have someone walk me through that. But yeah,
especially
mass battle
with that, the Battle Tome, was that what it's called?
Yeah,
or Player's Guide or whatever. I forget the actual term.
Generals. Yeah,
Generals. That's it. That would be interesting because that provides
points.
Points and a framework to play the game.
Yep. Man, I'd still love to crack out my ogres and play some of that. So I don't know if anyone's keen. Hey, listeners, hit us up.
Well, what I'm hearing is ogres are pretty good in 9th, so there you go. 2.0 coming.
And look,
a couple of weeks away.
I'm keen to try 2.0. I've not played a single game of 9th Age.
Yes. I've played a few games with Slopstar, and I liked it. My only issue that's been with 9th is the lack of stability. I don't want to sit. I've not wanted to sit and reread rules constantly every month or two to get the latest of what's going on. But if this 2.0 is going to be hanging around for a while, then I'll invest some time in reading it. That's part of the reason I've liked Kings as my preferred system, is the simplicity of it and the fact that in one go here's your armies. And there's a lot of armies, and now that you've got the historicals that can play against the fantasy armies as well. It's just added. God, I don't know how many armies there would be. There must be well over 50 in one go.
Yeah, totally.
And they're all seemingly quite balanced. The rules are simplistic. I don't have to sit there and keep reading things to keep up. At the same time, I'm actually quite intrigued to see 2.0 9th as well.
With the balance, though, the Kings, it also brings with it homogeneity. Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
a lot of it's similar, and you see the same similar things.
That's the
different armies.
dryness, and that comes down to, as we've discussed before. Obviously, it's a tournament
It's a tournament game.
It's built around tournaments, so there isn't as much interaction. There isn't as much flavour sometimes. But in that,
which isn't always bad. When we listen to DT's interview later on, sometimes that interaction can not necessarily be awesome at a tournament.
Yeah, I'm not a huge tournament player. I wish I could get out and play the tournaments, especially with the Kings guys a bit more. But I've never seen anything like what used to go on even in our 7th and 8th edition days in Kings. And that comes down to the fact that the rules are simplistic and tighter. That said, I used to play 8th edition. I used to love 8th edition, even with the issues that it had. The reason I liked 8th edition back in those days was because we had a really good scene. Going back to your point, it is sort of all over the place. I think if you took it and you think, oh, fantasy's dead, then I don't think it's dead. I think just players have moved off in different systems. If you put the two together, you've pretty much got the same guys realistically that were playing before.
Yeah,
they're just split.
And it was interesting doing a bit of research today, like looking at numbers, like we're still getting good numbers to fantasy tournaments.
Yeah, if you put them together, they're actually good numbers. It's just that there doesn't seem to be many people that are going both ways.
Yeah, so like take CanCon this year.
Yeah.
What was it, 60 odd for Kings?
Yeah, probably about 60 odd.
30 odd for Ninth.
Yep.
There was quite a few for Age of
Sigma.
I think that was about 50 Age of Sigma. I could be wrong there.
Yeah, I'm not sure with the King.
It's late and I've forgotten.
Yeah.
But it's got nothing to do with the homebrew either. But so it was still, like, I reckon easy 100, 120 players, which 3 years ago would have all been playing
one system.
Yep.
Which had that community been behind it. You had 100 odd, like we said, I think we were talking Golden Age, like you had multiple tournaments in Australia all playing Warhammer Fantasy 100 plus. That's 100 plus all getting excited about one system. Now what you've got is 100 plus people, but they're all getting excited over 3 different things. So it kind of feels very fractured in that, and I wish somehow people, but obviously we're all limited on time, could somehow bridge it so that, and I'm hoping next year I can maybe start taking a bit more time off, but saying that, I'm going to play a 9th event, I'm going to go play a Kings event. I'm not as big on the Sigma thing.
It's a bit like maybe it's an Australian thing, maybe it's not. It's a bit like footy codes. Like the amount of times people say, "Oh, we don't have the population to support footy codes, the 4 footy codes," which is soccer, rugby league, rugby union, and AFL, right? They're the 4 big ones. And my view to that is, well, I disagree with that because back in the UK, I used to watch my rugby union team, my rugby league team, and my soccer team. No dramas. I would support them, and they'd be all playing in the same time because we play in the same year during winter. But I'd support them all, and I could follow every code and still enjoy it. Whereas here it seems to be in Australia now whether it's an Australian thing or whether it's a gamers thing, I'm not sure. But it seems to be that people are very insular and go, well, that's my system. I'm sticking to it. And that's it. I'm not going to try the other fantasy systems. I'm just going to stick to mine because mine's the best.
Well, I think it's regional when you're talking football codes. Queensland, New South Wales, predominantly rugby league.
Yeah, but my point is that as individuals, yes, you're right. It is regional. Victoria is AFL, New South Wales and Queensland
all
rugby
of
league.
Australia is AFL except Queensland, New South
Wales.
But
as an individual, as a footy player, as somebody who enjoys sport, which is what I do, I enjoy sport full stop.
Yep.
I enjoy all codes. I enjoy watching, football, rugby, whatever it is, I enjoy it. Rugby league, soccer, all those codes aren't too dissimilar. They involve a football and scoring and tackling and a physical contact. They're all similar. All right, they're not, the minutiaes are different, but they're all similar. So if you like one, why wouldn't you necessarily like the others? To an extent. Not love them, but certainly watch them and go, yeah, look, I support, my local team. But over in Australia, people don't do that. They just go, I just like my sport because my sport's the best. And I wonder if fantasy's got the same. And gaming in general has got the same sort of.
I think it's time. I don't have time to sit there and watch, like, using the football. I don't have all the time in the world to sit there and watch. I can't even watch all the AFL games. There's no way I'm going to sit there and try and watch the rugby league games then as well. Soccer's clever. They put themselves outside that. So
outside the season, yeah.
Yeah, they're not silly. They know they're
for sure.
They're not going to compete
Best marketing move they ever did.
And the rugby union, well, that was a Catholic school thing. I didn't even know what rugby union was until we won some Bledisloe Cup and they came around to our school. I'd never even heard of it. So, I don't know. Yeah, I don't have enough time to sit there and watch all these different things. And I guess it comes down to the same with gaming.
Yeah, the analogy fits there with gaming as well. I agree. Right, let's change track just a tiny bit. We'll wrap up the whip round. As I said, we really want to move into this interview. What would it take to get you back on the fantasy train full time?
Oh, that's easy. Let more time to be able, because I'm already there.
You're already there.
I'm already still there.
Yeah,
I'm
true.
still there. That's my preferred game system still. I love most my space type fleet games, and I like The Walking Dead. You know, I'm like an ABC. But when it comes down to it, if I was going to go play a game, I'd be pulling out some form of fantasy. Whether it's Ninth Age or it's Kings, I want to.
You're easy. So what you're saying is you actually need opponents more than anything else.
No, I actually need time.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, it's the time that's my biggest issue. Yeah.
Greg, what would it take to get you back on the fantasy train?
I don't know. I think going back to the mass fantasy battle, as much as it's like it looks awesome, you got like 100+ miniatures either side, going, full hog at it. I'm kind of with you with the skirmish element. I think playing something say on a 4x4 or 3x3, with the terrain, I think would be like, old style, old world streets would be awesome. Would look really, really good.
So Mordheim. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, I never played Mordheim, so I don't know.
Oh,
I never played
Vanguard.
Yeah.
There you go. I don't know what it's going to be like, but it's a skirmish game set in the fantasy world.
Miniatures have to rock, though.
Well, if it's that, like we were just talking about with that elf, if they're coming out like that.
So, yeah, I guess that's where I'm currently at. That's not to say that we play 9th 2.0 and it blows me away and all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, crack out the high elves and let's get to it. But, yeah, no, that's kind of where I'm at.
But you would need more time too. That's your problem.
Yeah,
as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's only so much time you have and you're balls deep in Infinity. So for you to go and play a fantasy game, then you're going to have to give up some of that time to go and do that.
Which is pretty rare as it is.
Yeah, that's one. Like you're already saying you don't want to play Arrow.
But that's only because I'm trying to produce a miniatures game as well as play games as well. So I'm probably a bit unique in that respect.
Jacob?
Me, I need a breath of fresh air in fantasy.
Yep.
That's what I need.
Played it to almost like Blood Bowl.
Yeah, but it's not even that. Like as I said, mass battles just put me off.
Yep.
I'm keen to check out the skirmish games. So Age of Sigmar, Vanguard, even Frostgrave. This would be some of the game that I'd be keen to check out.
If I was going to go the more skirmish route for fantasy / historical, because I kind of put the two together.
Yeah.
I would be going probably Saga.
Yeah.
Get the Saxons out.
Yeah. So if it'd take something new to get me back. I don't think I could go back to an old game now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't get me wrong, I'm still keen to try Ninth Age 2.0.
Yep.
Always keen for some Kings of Treachery.
Yep.
But yeah, I know it's going to take something nice and shiny and new to get me back full time into the fantasy realm.
Maybe 2.0 will be a breath of fresh air and we'll be hitting DT up for some games.
Alright, so speaking of, I think we should wrap this up and just get straight into the interview with DT. David Trickett.
See you on the other side.
See you on the other side. Oh, and language warning.
Cannot stress that enough.
So turn it up.
You are listening to Power Stance Gamers. And now, this
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the PSG 9th Age ETC Extravaganza with DT.
What's going on, guys?
Hey, DT.
How you going?
How are we doing?
Oh, that was pretty good.
Doing good.
Now, just
Doing
for the
good.
So anyway, hey?
for the listeners at home, do you have a full name, DT, or do we just call you that?
David Trickett, also or my handle name toughnutt.
Toughnut.
Yeah, toughnutt. Always been toughnutt. Picked that up probably a while back from online gaming when we used to play Warhammer online. We run around as toughnutt, an Ironbreaker, I think it was, when the glory days. If you guys remember Warhammer Online.
I do. I never
is that when you're keyboard warrior?
Keyboard warrior. That's where it all starts, money. That's where it all starts. Table, mate.
Now we don't have keyboards.
Still got keyboard, mate.
All right, so let's get this started. Okay, DT, tough nut. So to begin it, first, welcome, and who the fuck are you? Give us some background and what games you're basically playing.
Basically, from Queensland, 30. Married, unfortunately for you, Muddy. So sorry, mate.
Oh man.
I thought Greg would like. I'll be always up for you, Greg, mate.
Hey, we
cheers,
saw how
buddy.
you guys were dancing at Mooseheads that night.
Yeah, sexy piece. You guys are fucking sexy piece. Yeah, so basically, been playing friggin' before ninth. It was Warhammer down to 7th edition where everything was broken, and it was always basically when the next big thing Games Workshop used to bring out. I hope you guys aren't sponsored by Games Workshop. Let's back them out.
We're not sponsored by anybody, don't worry about that.
Well, if you weren't, you're not getting free shit off them at the moment. That's all good. So, yeah, and pretty much started playing Epic back in the day with my uncles. My uncles, pretty much my whole family is into gaming, believe it or not. I started as 4 or 5. Used to play on the floor. Used to set up Epic models for an hour as a kid, and then play for 5-10 minutes and get bored. And my uncle would back them up, and then they'd get me into D&D. And those of you who don't know what D&D stands for, you can live in a fucking closet. And then pretty much picked it up ever since, and just basically sort of, as I said to these guys a while ago, I think it was actually you, Greg, that asked me. So when are you going serious, or are you going? And I appreciate the skill bump too, guys. Basically, I sort of went on the scene, and I think Muddy was the first person I saw. I walked out of the car park and saw Muddy. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? And then, sort of had my Warriors, and I didn't really know what I was doing. It was a new tournament, and just went into there, and I was playing, I think it was 7th Warriors, and had a pretty much mixed list. Didn't really know. Ended up coming up against a guy called Haig McCliskey, and if you don't know who that was, it's a 2-time master. And he just took off my entire army, and he didn't even lose a model. So that was my first tournament experience. But I kept coming back.
We grudged each other, right? That was because we'd met at Benny's place.
Yeah, I think we ended up playing. So we met at Benny's. We used to play at Ben's or Ben Webster's. He used to have a connected garage, and we'd play there, and sort of progressed from there. And said, look, next guys I have to beat basically is 3 of you guys. And once I beat 3 of you guys, it sort of progressed to the next level. I remember friggin' schooling. Hang on, just curious. Basically, schooling Greg with these high L's with what Comet.
Behave yourself. Hang on a second. No way. I remember smashing you. I think the only reason you beat me was because your filthy gamey lists.
Oh, wait up. Techless alert.
Techless I've ever used once, Muddy.
That still counts.
So and then took off. Greg is, if you guys don't know, is a fantastic painter. Basically, love the models, and just proceeded to take them off, and they looked really nice on the side of the table. So,
thanks, mate. Thank you.
At least they can't get any busted nicks or cracks when they're on the side of the table. So.
Such a tosser. You're such a tosser.
So Is that why you went across to ninth, like basically trying to continue on with the Warhammer game, basically? Because I noticed,
basically
about with Castle Assault, it's the same guys, the old guys that were playing 8th, that's basically still playing 9th.
Yeah, so it's basically like you guys, believe it or not, especially Jacob running the scene. I know Jacob probably ran my best ever tournament. I don't know if you remember, Jacob, but I kept asking you stupid rules just to bring you away from the game that you were playing.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, yeah.
Just quietly.
So it was the South Coast GT comp, and I think I showed you, Dave, on this computer screen. It was double DP and named Bloodthirster.
Yeah, we spent I reckon we spent an hour. We spent about an hour looking through these lists and just tweaking things.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I showed you this one, and you're like, "What is that?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "That is broke as fuck." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm taking that, sure."
I think if I'm not mistaken, I had to play you with my softest army at the event, Tomb Kings.
That's right.
And unfortunately, the only reason I had to play you is I think I 20 zipped Burgers with his high elves, and then I had to face you. And I was just like, "This is such." I've helped you in a way write the list to absolutely annihilate me.
That was still to this day, and credit to you, Jacob, one of the most enjoyable tournaments because it was South Coast GT, but then it had the, secret scenarios in there too, and that's when you could cannon off generals. If you failed, you look out, sir, and triple thunder stomping skellies was so funny considering we literally just talked about it, and then you'd normally have Greg in the background going, suck it, money,
Yep.
That was a really good tournament.
Had to sit there and take it.
To run because
that was
it
a good
was so
tournament.
Different.
Yeah, it was. And so that sort of kept me in. So you guys essentially drew me into the scene. I didn't know of sort of the Hague, the Bobo, the sort of. I didn't even know Jack Blanche at the time. He was like, I met Jack Blanche who ages. I've heard of actor, in the myth, but never have played him at this time. Until a little bit later when it's sort of transitioning from 8th to 9th that I played actor. I played actor basically right at the cusp of, and I started playing Lisbon because of money, because I liked the models and I thought they were fantastic, and started doing the broken 5 cowboy Death Star where you could run all your characters in the front, and you go 5 scar vets with the Vanguard and the Teto, and that was just like
cheesy
so
shit.
Filthy. So
that was broken. It was so broken, and that you have to strike the characters. Now in 9th is a little bit different. You don't have to strike the characters. They've gotten away from all that cheesy sort of, double Vanguard, you're essentially abusing the rules to the point where you're just spamming whatever's broken. I still do that, just got to find a different army to do that, basically, but that's besides the point. So, and then played actor, and he had the double death, Manfred and whatnot, spam with double purple sun and a million conquering zombies, and I had a chance to kill one model that entire game and proceeded to negative leadership 4 or 3 my my cav bus and just screamed the shit out of it with Derrickgeist, and then purple sunned it the whole line, and I think I killed a raised zombie, and that was about it.
Wow,
that was a whole game. That was horrible, but yeah, had a good year.
I was going to say that the changes to 9th have somewhat fixed some of that. Like you brought up the Congas with the zombies and whatnot.
Yeah, they've fixed everything, so you can't really do anything abusive anymore. It's considered, it's not in the rules. Oh, I can abuse this. You can still be tactical. For example, like if I want to stop you moving through a building, I'm going to go sit an inch behind the building so you can't go through it. That's tactical. But I can't essentially do and I'm not going to name names, but I used to play players that'd be like inch this, inch that, inch this, and you'd be playing the inch game, and you'd spend your whole time looking at models going, oh my god, my eyes hurt. This is not tactical at all. This is just, jammy broken shit where you might be railroading something.
Yeah. It sounds like they've got rid of the bad play type formats.
Yeah, it is. And if it is considered, there's actually a rules and section now where if it's considered a blocked path or considered, intentional, you actually get what's called a fandangle rule, where you actually get to manipulate the board or the models or the unit to make it happen.
So what you're telling me is that Muddy can't put skinks up against my steam tank to top me charging.
I think I might have only done that once.
You only needed to do it once, mate.
It was funny. As fuck.
Yeah. Is that 40k army he used to use?
Yeah.
No, there's none of that anymore. So you never have any arguments. Sports are always maxed out. I can't believe people still give me max sports scores. I'm still a cunt. So
That's all right. We'll talk to the organisers about that.
yeah.
So I've got another question then. Do you know
Fire
much?
away.
Like you went to the ETC, right?
Yep.
Okay, so do you know much of the history and like how long it's been running and or at least when Australia got involved?
Well, I know that Actor, who's the captain has been to 7, and I know that the original emblem that still sits on the shirt is still to this day. There's still the same emblem. So that was, you have all these teams with modern emblems, but that's like a traditional emblem sitting on there. So basically, it's formed around the European Team Championships. We don't know what the acronym stands for, but it's really the World Championships now because obviously it's bigger. This year we had 36 countries, and we actually had the biggest singles event in the world with 148 players. So.
Oh, nice.
That's huge.
And it was 148 good players too. It wasn't like 148 hired scrubs because you had all the players. Well, so 36 or 38 teams. Quote me if I'm wrong, but the registration actually took over 4 hours just to line up and register. The Spanish weren't very efficient with doing that. But they used what's called Tourney Keeper. I don't know if you guys know of Tourney Keeper, but it's an online system where it actually ranks, pairs, and scores everything that you log. So instead of filling out paperwork against your opponent, you essentially just add the tournament in, you register for it, you put your name, your army that you're playing, and then it tells you your first opponent. So it does all the pairings, and then once you finished your game, you agree on battle points, you agree on victory points, and then you just click log or lodge or, okay, and then it does all the work for you once everything's processed for round 2. So a good system.
I might as well jump in here before we get into the real nuts and bolts of how the ETC works. I was just wondering, like, how's the team actually selected?
Yeah. So it goes on an application process. Every country does a little bit differently. Italians do what's called a tier system. So they do like a tier by tier system. Basically, they have we might have in Australia where we have tournaments. They have tiered tournaments. So you only ever play in the top tier against top players, and they select their team from that tier. So you never get easy or essentially scrubs to play against. If you're in the top tier, so if you get let's say a 14, that's a really good win in their tier. So that's how the Italians do it. Whereas the Germans tend to do it based on wins or performance on that year, and they always oust their captain. So if their captain loses or doesn't perform to what their goals are, they get rid of their captain for the following year, which is why we picked up Frederick. Had a bit of bad blood with them, a bit of sort of negatives. We picked up Frederick, who was the ex captain from last year, and probably arguably one of the best players in the world. And he actually wrote he's writing and wrote the Beast Herds book.
Oh, okay.
But from an Australian point of view, and the French do it a little bit differently as well. It's interesting where they actually pick players based on who wins from the tournament. Spanish do it based on the teams. So they have a teams tournament and the winning team goes through. So they don't actually pick the individual player, they pick the winning team. We do it based on an application process where essentially the captain at the time gets nominated from the previous year and then puts out the application saying, this is all the breakdown. And then it's sort of like almost like an alumni where if you have played, you get to essentially interview, those that have played first. They don't get first priority, but they are of a higher selection, chance. So, for example, me playing last year was not like an auto win, but like definitely, yep, Dave, you're back with us next year sort of concept. And so then we're basically on a Skype panel, an interview process where the captain gets sent the applications and then we review them and say, look, what do we think the team needs? And it's not based around an army. So everyone's like, oh yeah, I'll play. I can't go because you're the demon player. It's like, it's never based around that. It's based around like the play style. So if the team needs 3 aggressive players and 5 defensive players, then, based on what you're used to playing, or if you're open to change, then you can be in based on that. So, performance does help. But I think the biggest thing is not being a dick. Australians have a big reputation, especially when we're over there, for being really, really friendly, really sociable, and, always but still being gamey at the same time, making sure that you're being competitive. So not being a dick and being competitive, but also putting in the hard work and a lot of chat. So we use our WhatsApp system, and we're probably going through 100+ messages a day on the WhatsApp, especially leading up to it. It gets pretty crazy. And if you look putting in the work on Universal Battle, which is the online game version, just to basically grind out the testing, it's essentially expected of you. So.
Well, it sounds like a lot of hard work, but there is one perk to this whole process, going to essentially the World Championships. And it's the trip away. And where was it this year?
This year is in Salamanca, which is about 2 hours west of Madrid in Spain.
Yeah. So it has got a bit of. So it has got some perks.
It does. It's so they always tend to bid for it. Each country, votes for it, and the 3 countries, and then people essentially vote. So, for example, this last year for next year, or I should say this year for next year, we got told Scotland, Croatia, and such and such. I can't remember the other one. The 3 options, and then everybody votes. So everybody that's in the current one essentially sets it up for the following year. And a lot of people tend not to vote places that are high priced because that discourages people from going. So Scotland, while you want to visit it, would be amazing to visit. At the same time, are you going to get 36 teams? Probably not. Spain was amazing because you could go out, you could socialise, you could have cheap dinners. Remember, when you're going out and socialising or wherever you're going, it essentially is not a group of 2 or 3 people. It's normally 2 teams of 10+ players. So you're looking for tables of 20 people, and everyone's got a different budget. I know I essentially took time off from work, unpaid leave to do it. I wasn't fussed with the money side, but at the same time I was always conscious about other people because it's not just one person, it is a team effort. So you've got to be consider that. But
so it sounds like Croatia's going to get it next year.
Yeah, so Croatia's got it next year. It's going to be in the capital, which is a lot easier.
Croatia should be beautiful that time of year too.
It looks really nice. So I'll probably end up going with the family next year. Just as they'll come along, they'll do their thing during the day. I'll do my thing. My wife's very understanding. She knows that I've got to focus because it's not just me. I'm there for others as well. But Spain did a good job. They were good by us. They were prepared. Positives is the fact that they got the basics right. So basic is aircon hall. A whole bunch of sweaty gamers that smell like shit. That's the last thing you want for
literally
5 days. I'm not joking. Literally, it was, it was over aircon to the point where we actually had to go buy lip balm because you're doing so much talking. You're in there for 5 days, 3 days, and then the ashes. So we're lip balming away. They get the basics right. They fed us well. They actually had a good system. The first day was a bit with the system with the lines, but they got it ironed out by the second day. They fed us the lunch, and they had a big sort of side hall where they originally planned to have it, but because the floors were more like a ball floor, they didn't want them scratched. So they put us in a futsal hall, and we actually stayed in the main hotel part of it, which you could tell about peak. And now it's a little bit not run down, but you can tell that it doesn't get used as often, if that makes sense. But yeah, weirdly, no, there's no insects or bugs in Madrid. The one bug we saw, the restaurateur squashed. Which is an odd comment, I know, but that's the weirdest thing And I said to Ivan, who was if you don't know, Ivan Diaz, wrote the Ogre book, phenomenal player. He was living in Spain for a year. He tends to go back there for a year and then live back in Australia. He says he'll never go back again. Yeah, we'll wait and see. He was really helpful because obviously he can speak Spanish. He knows the language. He lived in Madrid before. He'd take us out to drink sangria. And if you don't know sangria, it's like the sweetened wine. And it's literally like drinking cocaine or some hallucinogenic with a wine. It's a bizarre feeling because it gets you drunk within maybe 2 glasses, but it doesn't stay around. So it's like you go really quick drunk and you go, holy shit, what's happening? The light's gone really weird and you can't feel your fingers and your face feels strange. And then all of a sudden, and then all of a sudden you're sober again. It's
that
bizarre,
sounds awesome.
That actually sounds like cocaine. Are you sure it was sangria you were feeding?
Yeah,
no.
I'm assuming you went over by yourself then. You didn't take the missus and the kid?
No, not this one. No, I said, look, it's 1,500 essentially flights, 1,500 return, which is quite tasty, But for me, I didn't know what to expect. The first one, obviously being a rookie, I didn't want to
put too much on. I wanted to essentially prove myself, so I wanted to focus 100% on the game, and I put the effort in. I was getting up to sort of, you guys might think this is crazy, but I was getting up to 4 games a day on Universal Battle.
Bloody hell.
That does sound crazy.
There was a period there where we did a boot camp in Real Madrid. I flew 21 hours, and then that night I tested a game. Jamie was like, "Yep, let's go test." I actually had to gym first because I had to stretch my muscles out. I was sitting there for 21 hours. So I had to straight to gym, then hotel, quick shower, down to the gaming hall because it stays open till 11 because they've got a weird time zone there where things open late and things stay up late. The sun doesn't go down till 10. It was bizarre. And then I went down to Goblin Trader we were at, which is in Madrid. We actually had 2-day boot camp there. I got in on the Friday. Jamie's like, "I need you to test against this orc list." Okay, I come down. It's 11 o'clock at night. I'm testing against this orc list after 21 hours and jet lag. It's probably about 9 a.m. my time. So I'd gone through the full cycle of not sleeping. And I was a bit of a zombie, but I was got to the stage where I was so autonomous in the game that I didn't really need to worry about too much sleep to play it. And then pretty much tested all weekend and was playing UB games in between the hotel against random scrubs on my phone just to keep the intensity up. So, but yeah, I think I went through something like 56 games in testing one army during one period of 2 weeks holidays. It was pretty intense.
That's crazy. That's dedication.
Personally, I think I may have hit close to the 300 mark from start of January to when ETC was in August.
Wow.
Because I remember testing an army, and I said to the guys, "Look, I need to test this army in different formats against different lists," and we actually had a list, and we did the math because I needed to test them because it was 64 different combinations of armies that I needed to test against because we had basically the general idea of what people were taking, and then I needed to test it in 4 different scenarios. So at most you can do 240, but I tended to just stick with the 2 scenarios, so that was 120. So I knew that I was getting around the 100 to 120 mark for each testing of army, and I tested 3 armies. So it was 60 per army basically. So it was 60, 120, 180. So, if you're looking at 180 to 240 games with 3 armies, because I tested dwarves, I tested lizardmen, and then right before we changed, I went back to Mono Wrath, who I'd originally wrote, but Jamie wanted to play it because he was like, "Look, I can't, I want to play aggressive army. I love the list. I think it's fantastic." And I was like, "Dude, if you want to play it, go for it. I know you're going to score great with it. Play the list. I'll play lizardmen. I'm comfortable with them too. Just give me something diverse, something that I can play." As it was still a bit of a crux against me. I couldn't play it as aggressive as I wanted because I love aggressive lists. I love just essentially outmaneuvering the opponent, watching them squeal, watching them squirm on the other side of the table, putting the pressure on them, making the defensive lists, you tend not to be able to do some of the maneuvering brilliance that outsmart your opponent, if that makes sense. So yeah, it was 9 hours before submission, and we were literally still having a chat saying this list is not doing what we need to do. And I put my hand up and said, "Look, it's not competitive enough for the meta over there. We need to change it." So I went back to the Mono Wrath list, and then Jamie picked up a White Lions list that the Germans had. So that was sort of the craziness of the list design.
That is mental. That is just crazy.
I've got to assume then a lot of the other countries are basically doing the same thing, right?
Yeah, well,
with their players. Now I've got to ask, because I've been following this for quite some time. We have never won an Ashes. I've got to bring it up. Now this,
we have. We won
last
year. We won the first and only last year.
That's the only one we've won.
Yep, the only one. So we won it and we had an Englishman called Dan on our team. He played for them this year, and we got absolutely arse raped in the Ashes this year. Great guys, but essentially what happens is when you win the Ashes, you get to dictate when it is. Now, we've never played singles, the European Singles Championship before, because the English always like to have the Ashes on the Thursday, and because they've always win the Ashes the previous year, they get to dictate when it is. Now, we'd won it, so Actor said, no, fuck you guys, we're having it on Tuesday. So Tuesday night afternoon, we're there. The English come up from Alicante, which was on the coast, and we're playing it. Now, there's a photo generating around, and there's a lot of pressure on us. Just won it the previous year. We've got Frederick in the team. We've got Gonzalo, who's essentially helped write the Vampire Covenants book. top Spanish player. Just like he would have been in the Spanish team if they didn't have a bit of a not a falling out, but some clashes with the Spanish team.
A
We've got
disagreement.
A disagreement. Yeah, a disagreement.
Yeah.
Ivan, who wrote the Ogre book. We got Jamie Payne, who's arguably the best player in the world as well. Like genius wise in regards to all aspects of the game, and a fantastic player coach. The Pain Train. Yeah, I swear he was winning shit when he was like 4 years old. I swear, like seeing him on the scene, going, "Who the fuck is this kid?" And like, what the hell is he lost?
I've only ever played him once.
Oh really? Did you lose?
Yeah, he was pretty. No, we smashed him.
Yeah, we
Really?
did. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Was it a doubles?
Yeah, it was doubles. He was pretty drunk.
Oh yeah, if he gets pretty loose, then don't worry about it.
No, he actually said to his partner, he's like, "Oh, we're going to steamroll these guys," and then we just took him off.
Yeah. That was our moment of glory, wasn't it?
It was.
It wasn't.
That was the Scarvet bus.
Oh, nice. Yeah. We wouldn't have seen that one. Yeah, if you don't see that one coming, it's game over.
Yeah, it was good to watch.
I think I remember that one, actually. I think I remember. Didn't you guys win that one?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't remember.
Oh no, you went into Zach's. You was at Empire, so you went into the. That's right. The Scarvet bus went into the Empire bus, and you guys took the Empire bus off, didn't you?
Yeah.
Took it off and then just turned around and then cleaned up the rest of the Bretts, I think. From
That's
memory.
right.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah. That was a good tournament. That was up in the. Yeah, that was a good one. Oh.
Yeah.
I love that tournament. That was really hot. I remember weren't you sitting in the kiddies pool to cool off that day or something like that in the actual inside the tournament? But anyway, getting back on the Ashes.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there, and we've got all this pressure. So I said to the guys, I said, look, team swim, and this is from a rookie's perspective. I like, team swim. Let's go chill out. Let's just because you could tell fucking people were nervous. We had myself who was new to the team. We had Mike, who was new to the team. Everyone sort of hadn't played together before, but you could tell it was just jittery. There was a lot of pressure on. So we're swimming around, we're relaxing, and even in the pool, there was a little bit of nerves. And I said to Jamie, I said, look, I don't know about you guys. You can do whatever you want. We gave Jack a drink because he plays better when he drinks. Actor had a bit of sangria as well. And I said to Jamie, I said, mate, I'm getting jacked up. I want a fucking strong coffee right before the game with sugar. Let's get jacked up. And then I said to our barman, who's Jack, or Jono, I said I need a big monster during the game as well, okay? Because I want to concentrate.
Is that Jono's Slopstar? Jono?
Yeah, Jono Walker. Yeah.
Giant Slayer.
Who was fantastic, by the way. He was really supportive. He was always there when the ref calls. I've got a great story against Belgium later on that he was actually fantastic in assisting.
Okay.
So I'll tell you that one down the line.
Yep.
And then basically, it's just sort of essentially got all our sort of pre-routine method, got over there, and then Frederick comes in with ice poles. So we're all sitting there with icy poles, go, hey guys, because Frederick's really quirky, he's good fun. Hey guys, let's suck on some stick, some man pole. So their big bellies out and all that, and there's a photo of us actually standing opposite the game table sucking on ice creams before the game, and I've got a photo, pre-ice cream sort of Ashes. So yeah, the seriousness went away straight away. But we set up and we're playing. I was playing against Mikey Newman, who won their Masters that year with VC, and I thought, shit, I think they think this is a good matchup. And my list just freaking rapes VC like no one's business. They're hitting me on fires, they're wounding me on fires. I got a bus, the cannons. I didn't need it. The problem was the VAR guys. They're a bit of a bad matchup, and he had 2 units of them, but it's doable. And Mikey normally plays aggressive, so that plays into my hand. So I set up, having a chat with Mikey, doing my thing, and then within about 5 minutes, I hear Mike's got 20'd. I was like, what do you mean Mike's got 20'd? And for those of you who don't know, the system is basically 20 is like, you get complete table raped, and you get 0.
That's balls deep.
Yeah, it's balls deep, and it's 5 minutes into the game, and I was like, what the hell? And essentially I've looked over and we've got on the WhatsApp, and there's a photo of this centaur character who's basically gone around the back of his corner. He had a dryad block, or the old treekin, or whatever you want to call them. And then another treekin block sitting in the forest, and a unit of big dryads. And behind that, 2 units of pathfinders with his mage, with his BSB, and they're just sitting behind. And what happened is the centaur character has gone out, fit through the gap because he didn't see the single charge from the lone character, connected one unit of Pathfinders, and is going to kill that, obviously, because it gets hatred and a buttload of attacks, and they're only Pathfinders toughness 3, and overrun into the next one. And he cleans up, 1,500 points from one character and gets the objective because he's not coming out. And that's it. That's the points difference. And as an aggressive player who's pressure on me to score, and the Ashes is pretty much over, and it's over in 7 minutes.
Oh, that's not nice.
So what do you do? You know what I mean? Like, you've got a 20, can't afford a 20 in any of your matchups. So you're sitting there, at 1 out of 8 is a 20, and then we hear, shit, Frederick's just been out deployed. And I was like, what the fuck? This is like a minute later after we found out about the Mike thing. I was like, what do you mean? Or they basically just said Amit just went and saw where Frederick went. They were so scared of him, so Amit just went in the other corner, and they measured it out, and Frederick couldn't get to him in time, in the 6 turns, to get enough points, and he wasn't going to come out in around this impassable terrain, where he put this big unit of Shaptis, and they just shook on a 10-10. So essentially they cancelled out one of our great players, and got a 20 within 7 minutes of the game.
Wow, that's smart. Like, that's cheesy, but a smart play. Like, you have to hand it to them. That's smart play.
Actually, this kind of segues great into like this whole aspect of, with the ETC, the team aspect and the roles within the team. Do you want to go over like what your basic role is in the team, and what some of the other guys' actual roles were?
So you have what's called your blockers and your scorers, right? And your scorers essentially you pair for. So before the game or before each round, you and I. Let's say you're the opposite team, you'll have your scorecard, or you'll have your computer system or whatever, where you've done all what you call as your pairings. So all the teams list, everybody's rated themselves against like the previous score, basically, and said, look, this is what I'll get from this army, this is what I'll get from this army, and you have we use a big matrix, and it's like a computer matrix, and other teams use colors, green might be a good matchup, red might be don't give me this, or black might be never give me this ever, unless you want me to give 0. So I had essentially an aggressive army designed to score, and I had a lot of good matchups because the list was fantastic. So I very rarely had bad matchups. So this made it good for Jamie. We had defensive teams with essentially just giant units of blocks. We had an orc list with 90 bow shots. So it was no, it wasn't 90 bow shots. It was 60 and 58, whatever that works out to be. 178 bow shots. But then it was 3 units of common orcs with bows, and then it had another unit of 3 units of 30 goblins behind it. So we worked it out to be 300 plus bow shots. Essentially that was the blocking list with, you sit in a corner, if you come at it, it's going to get points, and you've got spears as well. So, and then we had the peasant army, and if you don't know what the peasant army is, then you've never gone against it, and if you do, it's horrendous. The Brett's basically the king of extra time, and it's essentially the same as the orc army. So what we did was we essentially originally we had the peasant army, and we said, look, we need another army like this because it's awesome blocking army. How do we make it? So we made the orc army based around the peasant army, and the peasant army essentially is the same concept. You have your 3 units of spearmen, which were 70 strong each. They have what's called a reliquary that sits behind them, and that makes everything fight an extra rank. So actually fighting 5 ranks, because it's 2 normally, 3 for spears, 4 for horde, and the reliquary gives it 5. So you have 5 essentially fighting in 5 ranks, with divination, which gives you reroll to hit, divine attacks, which works good against stuff with ward save. You've got a good range because you have 3x30 archers sitting at the back, with volley fire, which means they don't take any negative penalties for anything in front, and 2 trebuchets. And you literally just sit there casting magic, and you've got leadership 10 on 3 dice. So like the old Lisman
cold blood
leadership checks, cold blooded. So you'd have a leadership 10 cold blooded check with a reroll. And if you look like you get in trouble, you just chuck the reliquary in whatever unit it is, and it makes it stubborn. So, and you have 2 of these, and they basically work in an aura, and you've got a 5-up ward versus strength 5 or above, or a 6-up ward versus strength 4, and you can spend your whole army trying to kill 1 unit, and then your opponent just goes, "Good job, you got 444 points. I've got the rest of my army left. I still win 20-0."
That's insane.
And, yeah, it's insane, but it was extremely popular. People learned how to play against this. The armies that actually beat it really well, any leadership bomb armies, any armies with high toughness and armor that can grind it out eventually and hit it on multiple fronts can win. People worked against this. Actor who played against it got his actual lowest score in the history of ETC because people knew how to beat it by then, because obviously it started out the new hotness, and then it, obviously came out in February. By the time it was August, July, everyone knew how to beat it.
So that's basically because, like you were saying before, like you guys are putting in a lot of effort, and all these other nations are basically doing the same thing. So they're working out the nuts and bolts of all these lists, because basically I'm assuming most of the countries are kind of using similar sort of lists.
Yeah, we were on par, and I literally we nailed it in regards to lists. There was the double altar list, which is a VC list floating around, which you have to essentially triple spam of spearmen, so you have a 35, and a 35 that can grow to 70. So it's 70, 40, 210 skellies that are actually protected by a 5-up regen aura, right? And these altars in turn 5 do, before charges are declared at the start of the game, do D6 strength of whatever turn it is hits. So if it's turn 5 and there's 2 altars within 12 inches of any model, regardless of whether it's engaged in combat or not, it's 2d6 strength 5 hits, and then on turn 6, it's 2d6 strength 6 hits, right? And if you go into the skellies, there's 4 essentially raising necromancers sitting at the back with a cadaver wagon going 2d6 plus 6 skellies back. It's essentially a death trap. You don't win against it. There's nothing really besides my army and essentially anything that has a high grind death ability, maybe some chosen, corn chosen that have the ability to grind out lots of attacks fast, that can beat it and go through it. Cannons, flaming cannons are good against it, but you might only get the altars. So you'd have that list. Every country pretty much had that list because it was awesome. A lot of countries had the peasant list. A lot of countries, believe it or not, had the biggest showing, the demon legions. But they went thirster. A lot of people didn't actually pick on the fact that you could have 5 heralds on crushers. We were one of the few countries that actually realized that. Even the Spanish guys said, they're like, holy shit, we really like your list. If we'd known that, we would have taken this list. The thirster was ridiculously popular. So you had demon legions, a couple of Brett's builds, which were interesting. Pretty much had the standard orc block where you had, like I said before, 1 million bow shots sitting in goblins or orcs. Or maybe the double spider build, and then you might have your warriors, which are pretty much your killy characters, which a lot of countries took, and then a mix in there of maybe an infernal dwarf or a sylvan elf, something that's sort of a bit out of the box, but still a generic build that's normally the most points efficient. So,
and what teams did you actually play?
So we played Latvia, who is actually the dodgy people from Russia, believe it or not. So Russia, every year, if you're dodgy or caught cheating, you get kicked out, and you normally get picked up by Latvia. So we had them round 1.
Nice.
But funny story with Latvia is actually, you guys will love this one. My opponent, later. My opponent in Latvia, I didn't play against him against the teams, but I played him in the singles. And I was playing against him, and it was my 4th or 5th game in the singles. I was doing really well. I was on the top tables, and I don't know how the hell he got up there. Well, I knew after I played him because he obviously was trying to cheat. So, I was doing things, and his brother or cousin or whatever sitting there. And the Latvian guys had really cool shirts, believe it or not. They had it almost graphic designed into the army that they were playing. So the ogre guy had a big shirt that had like hairy nipples with like a gut plate on the front of it. The Sylvan Elf guy had like sort of wood elf armor. They looked really cool. They were the coolest shirts there in my opinion. They were different though. They were really cool. The dwarf guy had like a dwarfish looking one, VC was like a deadish one. So I played my guy, and I'm sitting there, and he said, I said to him, look, this is a front charge on this. And then his brother comes over and says, why didn't you charge that over there? And he says, you couldn't charge that. He told me you couldn't charge it. He said, of course you can. And he goes, you lied to me. I said, no, I didn't lie to you. I said, that model there is a front charge. I'm not pointing out the fact that you can charge this guy over here because I'm not playing your army for you. And he got upset, and he called me a liar. I said, no, I'm not a liar. Okay. I'm not playing your army for you because I'm not being tactical for both sides. So we got off to a bit of a bad start anyway, because I was truly raping him. Like, he wasn't happy I was getting in. Like, I was outplaying because I tested against this list. And then it got to the point where I got into this combat, and it was one of those crucial combats, you know, where you want to win it because you just keep the ball rolling, but that essentially puts the nail in the coffin. And we went through the magic phase, and it was a magic phase where he got low dice and he rolled it, and he did a stupid roll where I could dispel it. So I dispelled it with the dice, and then he had a couple of dice left, and he cast it, and I said I use my scroll. And he got no magic off. So I stopped one spell with dice, stopped the other one with scroll. We come to the close combat phase, and we've done other things. He's done his little bit of shooting with his cannons and whatnot. And we go to the close combat phase, and he does this combat, and then he comes to the other one. And he goes, oh, okay, hang on a sec, sorry. That's all right. I got Flaming Swords off. Flaming Swords is the old fire magic, which is the +1 to hit.
I remember it, yep.
Or pyro. Like, it's in pyromancy now, okay? It's in the pyromancy lore. And he goes, oh, that's right. Goes to throw it down. He throws it down. I said, no matter what you got off, you didn't get, because I stopped one with dice and dispelled the other one. And by the way, and this is what I said to him, I said, and by the way, you don't even have pyromancy as a lore. You've got thaumaturgy, which is like the Zench crossed with sort of some other stuff lore, which you have to take if you take a certain build in this ogre list, which he did. So you've got thaumaturgy. So you don't actually have flaming swords as a spell, but everything's dispelled, but nice try. And I picked up the card and just threw it back at him, and he goes, oh, okay, that's fine then, because they're the type of guys they'll try to get it away, but they'll act all innocent about it.
That's dodgy as.
Yeah, and then I found that out, and I've got this dice. It's a fucking unicorn dice. The Germans managed to fit 2 unicorns rooting each other on the dice, and it's on the
That's so you, DT.
Germans.
It's amazing. And these dice, these fucking unicorns, I'm not joking, they're broke. Like, our Australian ETC dice, people complaining about them because they were broke. But the Latvian guy, I pull it out, and I'm like, yeah, because I had 2 cannons. I'm like, it's cannon time, unicorn. And I go to roll, he goes, no, I know about this dice. Do not use this dice. Please put it away. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, no, this dice is cheat. It's disgusting. It should never be created. And I was like, you can use it if you want. Like, it's fine. He goes, no. And I got the ref over, and I said, the rule is basically dice on table, anybody can use. He can't actually be forced to put it away.
That's an actual rule for the ETC, yeah.
Yeah, it is. The dice on table, anybody can use. He can't force me to put it away, okay? He can check it, of course. He can say, look, can I have a look at the dice, make sure it's not got 2 6s or whatever, but he can't force me to put it away. So he's really grumpy, and I roll it, and it comes up a unicorn. 6 to hit, baby. I roll it to wound, and I do max wounds and take one of his characters off. He was raging, right? But the funny thing was, when he went to roll his save, the next time when he went to shoot with his cannon, he goes, I want to use the unicorn dice. I'm allowed to. Give me the unicorn dice. So I go, here you go. You can roll the unicorn. He rolls a 1, and a 1 on a cannon is fire. And then he rolls a 1 again, and he can't shoot for the rest of the game.
Oh, suck shit.
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
And then actor was sitting there and just like, oh, that's funny as fuck. And the funny thing was, after he rolled it, he goes, you know how to roll this dice special. Show me how you cheat with this dice. I was like, I don't have any secret way of rolling it, mate. You just pick it up and roll it, okay? Seriously. So
did you? Now this was in the singles. Did you have any teams that you did have issues with, like actual teams, or teams that were your favourite even?
Latvia, we were a bit iffy about. We were sort of like watch out for them, but we smashed them so bad. Like, there's called a cap essentially, and you have a cap because you cap your points to keep other teams in there. So you don't want to be essentially out of the running day 1, game 1. So you basically can cap your team to a extent of 100, okay? That's the max you can get out of them. Any more, it doesn't matter. It's called uncapped. It does come down if it comes back on the countback, and it might be come down for which team you play next. So we play Latvia. We absolutely rape them. We cap them. Good job. Well done, boys. My guy slow played me, my VC player. I only actually got 2 turns against him.
2 turns?
That was a tactic. Yeah, my guy, he sat down on the table, and he says, I apologize. I've been called in late. This is not my normal army. I was like, yeah, that's cool, buddy. Just I'll help you out. I know VC in and out. I've tested against this. And then he pulls out this model. And I was like, what's that? And he goes, it's an altar like the old, I can't remember what the altar's called. It's like mortise engine.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I go, what's that? He goes, it's a mortise engine altar. And I go, mate, it's on a round base. He goes, so? I said, we can't play with a round base. Like, it's a square base game. He goes, it's fine. I'll just fold it. And he tries to fold it. Doesn't work. Tries to get a piece of paper and puts it underneath. I was like, that doesn't help me at all. It's still round base is bigger than the piece of paper you put underneath. Yeah. And I go, mate, so what do you want me to do? I said, well, let's get the ref over and figure out what we can do. And the ref's like, mate, you can't use that. And I said, look, it wouldn't bother me, but the fact that I've flown like all the way across the other side of the world to play in the top tournament and the guy's got a round base, that kind of does piss me off. This took 30 minutes, by the way, this entire process. Okay. And then he was moving around, dicking around, and because I put him so much pressure, he was always second guessing himself. And I actually got the ref over and like started calling time on him. So I wasn't happy about that. My army scores late. I had him in a position. I've actually got a photo where I baited him and said, yeah, that's I definitely. Oh, I didn't see that flank charge, but what it was essentially to get to his general's bunker behind. So I actually had to flush a unit in front out of it, and he took the bait, charged out, and I had everything basically ready, set up for a 16+ win against him, but I only had 2 turns. He had 3 turns. I was like, this is ridiculous. Jamie was really annoyed. So from then on, I essentially got my phone out and started timing the rounds. I started, and telling my opponent, I took 13 minutes. You just took 30. You need to speed up. If they do it again, you bring the ref over.
You are listening to Power Stance Gamers. And now, this.
So game 2, we played against. I'm trying to think which order we didn't win, because I know we went good, bad, basically, and then small loss. I know we had Ireland, then we had Russia, and then Poland. There was one in between there. I'm trying to think of who we had after Latvia.
Belgium? Sure, you mentioned Belgium.
Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure it was Belgium. No, but we had Spain, right? So we're sitting there, and Spain was last year's champion. So Spain was game 2, day 1, and we're just like shit. And we're sort of thinking, God, and Ivan's like, guys, we're going to get absolutely smashed here. And we sort of got on our own heads against it. I got Infernal Dwarves, which was fantastic. And I was sort of like confident. I said to my opponent, the English Barrows a bit meh. They were fantastic opponents, really enjoyed them. They're always competitive, but the English Barrow sometimes is an issue. That was the only time it was the English Barrow was an issue. The Spanish are normally pretty good with English, or they're not. There's no in between with them. Again, our game only got to turn 3. So in 2 games, I'd only had 5 turns, and that really annoyed us. A matchup against Infernal Dwarves should have been a massive win to me, but I didn't have the time to do it, if that makes sense. I essentially had everything cleaned up except for his general unit. I needed just the turns to do it.
Were they slow playing as well, do you think? Or did you just... That's what I said. Or was it the language barriers, you think? It just sort of slowed things down?
We got to the point now where I timed it, I'd show the ref, and I said, and the actor actually approached the captain as a captain. He said, look, as a captain, he's one of our scoring players. We need him to score. We only just lost to Spain, so it wasn't a huge loss. It was a minor loss, which we thought was fantastic. We could have actually won it if we'd had certain things go away and, for example, get my turns. And he said, look, I want this guy watched and protected tomorrow. Actors talking about me to the ref. I want this guy watched and protected tomorrow because he's designed to set up to get us 16+ points. Okay, and we don't want anyone slow playing because we believe that's a tactic that can be employed against an aggressive army, which it can, which people will do. Okay, you can't really pick up on it. So day 2, we essentially come into our game. We're coming into a bit of an easy player, which is we had Belgium. We had Ireland, and I'm missing one in there somewhere. Russia. There should be a 6th one in there, but I can't remember which one we were played against. But I know that when we came into day 2, we had an easier game in the morning. We had a good matchup. I made sure that all my times were on point. The fact that everything was kept to standard. I told my opponent how long they took. I told basically, how long I took. I made sure that they were being conscious about it, and we got the win out of it, which was good. And then we came up against Russia, which is probably the top team again, and we had a loss. So we went from big win, small loss to another win to another big loss, and we went down hard. I actually ended up, I didn't lose my game, but it was a favourable matchup against the Bretonians, and they were quite nice. The Russians actually have kicked all the cheating players out, so they
seem to have had like a few bad raps in previous years.
No, they were pretty good. So they were decent. So we had that. They had that day 2. I might be getting the order wrong here. My apologies if I do. Like the day 2 and day 3 games all tend to not blur into one, but they tend to go, loss win sort of concept. So we're sort of sitting in that top 10 region by end of day 2, where we've had sort of around some good teams. We played Spain, we played Russia. They're top 5 teams in the world, and we're thinking, holy shit, we've had a horrendous draw, and then we find out we got. That's right. We had. Who did I say we had in the morning? Sorry, we had Russia. Did I say we had Russia in the morning?
On the second day.
On the second day, yeah.
No, I think you said first you had an easy game on the first game for the second.
Yeah. So sorry. No, my apologies. So we had Russia on the. So we had the. So the easy game in the morning was against Ireland. So we had Ireland in the morning, which was fantastic. Now we had a funny story here where I actually got paired into the Lisbon player, and Ivan got paired into the Skaven. This was before the Russian game, obviously, on day 2. And we had a situation where Jamie says to us in the pairings, and I don't know if you know what Grenadiers are. They're like, basically what Grenadiers are, they do volley fire, they hit on 4s, right? They can randomize their attack and reallocate their attacks if you're in combat with another unit, right? They've got volley fire, which means they can shoot over units, and they essentially do an AP 6 shot, which means you get no armor save against it, and they wound on 4s, basically. This one guy had 39 of them, okay? So 30 AP 6 shots, hitting on 4s, winning on 4s, reallocating if you need to in the combat. Like you'd always put the reallocation onto the other side. So essentially you're getting 2 hits, the enemy units to his 1, and their 1 is essentially some shitty slave unit. So like, who gives a shit about a slave? It's worth 4 points versus your cav model that's worth 30 to 40 points. So he's got 39 of these bastards. And Ivan said to me, it's basically come down to Ivan and I, both of our aggressive lists. And I said, Ivan, I don't mind taking the Grenadier one because I've got the ward saves. You don't have the ward saves. You've only got armor. Okay? And Ivan's like, yeah, that's fine. I'll take the Skaven. I'll get 16 plus out of it. And I was like, I know, I'll get 16 plus out of the Skaven, but I'm quite happy to take the hit with the Skaven. So we walk away thinking that, and then they put the cards down, and Ivan's got the Skaven. And he's just like, what? So I don't know what. I think maybe Jamie thought I could get more points out of the Saurian Ancients there or something like that. But he was raging, and he did all right. He played okay against it. But my Saurian Ancients guy, who was one of their top players in essentially, he's from Ireland, but he plays in the UK scene. He was playing really fantastic. I'm pretty sure it was Jacob Courtine. Was his name? He was the captain for Ireland. I'd be able to have it on the sheet if I referred back to it. But he really solid player. I knew how to beat him though. Obviously too many threats because essentially had to keep pedaling back. I cannoned off one of his Scarvets. If that was the old sort of Scarvet, on cold ones. Cannoned one of them off. So got some.
They're all on cold ones, aren't they?
They're all on cold ones, yeah. That's the build now. But actually didn't 20 him because I actually missed. He didn't actually see. I had a unit of Furies. He put his Slan into a unit of Skinks that was at the back. I always was going to do this, but he didn't see it, thankfully. But I didn't want to measure it because I didn't want to give it away. So I had to eyeball it and think, is that a... Because you're allowed to measure in this game, of course. But I wanted to eyeball it the turn before when I moved them because I just said, I'll just put them there for chaffing later if I need to. But really, what I was doing is I was setting them up for the next charge against the Slan who joined some Skinks. Now, Slan and the Skinks is just easy points, but the thing is he was at the back, so he wasn't expecting this. And I said to him, I charge my unit of Furies, who are Wrath, which means they're strength 5 on the charge, so 5 attack, strength 5 against Skinks. That's a decent amount of wounds if you get in the flank, so you got flank, charge, and a few wounds into your Slan buck, and he goes, holy shit, I didn't see that. And it was in a way where he couldn't flee because he would have bounced off the table. So he's like, oh, okay. I couldn't risk it anyway because it was a dicey roll if he fleed. So he goes, oh, okay, I guess I'll have to hold that. So it's a 10. It's a 10 on the charge to get in, and I roll it. Skippy dice comes up, 5-6. Booyah, baby. Thank you, Skippy Australian dice. And I get in. I do the wounds, and he goes, so you're attacking the Slan? I go, hell no, I'm going to kill some Skinks, get combat res and break. He's
combat
like,
res, yeah.
He goes, damn it, in the Irish accent, And then all of a sudden he breaks, he runs, He runs 5 inches, and I've got Swift Stride, so I've got 3 dice to roll a 5. I roll 1, 1, 2. And I'm just going, holy shit. And this was actually after, like, this was obviously day 2 of the teams, but in the singles, I actually missed out on placing 3rd or above, as in top 3 in the singles. I ended up getting 7th because I failed a 5-inch overrun on Swift Stride for my general's bunker to get into this Swedish player who's playing Orc and Goblins, which would have meant that I would have got the Black Orc block, got his general's unit, and got the objective, which actually swung it the opposite way into his favour, which it was actually a 5-point swing by not rolling 5 on Swift Stride. So I'd had one of those weeks where the Swift Stride roll, which was 5 or 4, I was always failing. It was just one of those moments where you're like, not again, are you serious? So
you should have pulled out the unicorn dice.
The unicorn dice only gets used for shooting. That's the brilliance. You can't overwork the unicorn dice.
That's a golden rule. Yeah, otherwise you'll use up all the goodness.
That's your limited amount of magic in there.
There's a amount of magic. And Skippy's rolling hot. Like, I wasn't... obviously, Australian dice, we get custom dice, so they got a boxing kangaroo on them. The Skippy, we call them Skippies. The Skippies rolling hot. They were fantastic. But it's just, for some reason, on those 2 crucial rolls, which cost massive amounts, let us down. We capped Ireland, which was good. We went into Russia. We lost. They were fantastic players, though. Knew what they're doing. Very efficient. And so end of day 2, we sort of were a bit like, we're sitting okay. We've got a run at it. You know, we don't have a run at the top 3, or what we thought originally. But we could, top 10. Awesome. Good job, boys, considering we played Spain and Russia. So day 3, we're like, who do we get? Who do we get? Who have we got? And we got Belgium. I was like, oh, yeah. We'll take Belgium. It'll be a decent match, competitive but winnable. Belgians were a little bit more confident, and I saw, oh, hang on a sec, is that the guy? And I'm thinking back to the table, and right when I was playing the Latvian guy in the singles, there was an argument next to me on the next table, and it was between this Belgian guy. We found out later was part of the French team, but they kicked him out because he was cheating. He was actually doing dodgy stuff with his Stratopults with his ogres. And I said to Jamie, if you get a chance, pair me against this guy in the teams, because I'll catch him out for cheating, because I know the ogre book in and out, because obviously I played testing against Ivan and whatnot. I said, I can play against this list. It's the typical, they called it a Hellfist list, ogre list, which had double cannon and some magic and pretty much, stock standard, same units in the list. I said, pair me into this, I can play the list, okay, but I'll also catch him out if he tries to cheat. So sure enough, I see the cards down. I see I've got him. I'm like, good. But I didn't mention it. I was just, sort of casual. I just wanted to let him fall into the trap. And we're playing. And no joke, turn 1, he shoots his cannons. He goes, target general, cannons. I fail. My ward save does 3 wounds. I take off my general and my herald. I'm like, okay, that's a thing. Yep, I've lost 360 points. This new system is obviously double from what you guys remember Warhammer was. So 360 is 180 old money plus 200 for your general, so it's not too much to lose. But it's out of points. It's doubled the points basically. So that's a thing. Gets his cannon again, does it to my BSB, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of bad. I've lost a BSB in general in 1 turn. So go to turn 2. I charge into some bruises with another character, and I lose that combat, and he kills that as well. And I've gone, shit, this is going really bad. I've lost 1,000 points. In 2 turns, and I shouldn't have. I call over to Jamie. I said, Jamie, I'm going down big. We're in trouble because it's one of our scoring games, okay? And he goes, mate, play the fucking thing out. Right? He goes, play the fucking thing out, grow some balls, and you fucking play that thing out, right? You can bring this back, right? Because you could see it, tell I was really distraught. Like, this was really through me. And I was really chatting to the guy. I said, look, will you give me, I'll give you, give me a 14-6, okay? Like, I'll give me 6 points. And he didn't want it. He just said, no. He wanted more. So he's like, no, I'm not giving you any points. We're playing this out, all right? Because he thought it was going to be big, like 18-2, because for him, it was looking fantastic. I was like, okay, all right, we'll play it out. So he turned down a 14-6. Now, remember that for this story, okay? So basically, he turned down a 14-6, and we played it out. Now, it came to a crucial turn where I had charged 2 units of Crushers, right? Or he charged, a unit of Crushers with a character in it, and I held. I counter-charged, obviously, with another unit of Crushers, which is a monstrous cap, and did some wounds, and then he lost combat by 1. Now he had a catapult, which is like it's called a scratapult. There's the ogre version, and a unit of Mournfang in this combat. Now he lost combat by 1. Okay, he rolls his checks. He passes by 1, and I go to him. I said, "Hang on a sec. That's catapult. I did 5 wounds to it." And he goes, no, you did 4. They only have 4 wounds. And as soon as he said that, I knew he was trying to cheat me, because I remember him cheating with the scratapults in the earlier game in the singles. And I said, they have 4 wounds today. He goes, yes. Okay. Okay. Hang on a sec. Okay. And I just sort of let him think around a bit. And I got my phone out just to double check. And I got my phone out, got the book up, and sure enough, they had 5 wounds. So what I did was I set a trap for him. I called over Jono. Remember I said earlier in this podcast, I said Jono was crucial. I called over Jono. I said, Jono, come over, And he's like, what do you need? I said, I go, just, you listening, Jono? I said to my opponent, I said, just confirming, and just double checking. This scratapult here got 4 wounds. You're 100% sure on that? He goes, yes, it's got 4 wounds. I go, righto, cool. Jono, you heard that? Jono goes, yep. And Jono plays ogres. He goes, you've just heard him say it's got 4 wounds. Ref, put my hand up, ref. All right, ref comes over. I said, this guy has lied to me about the fact that the scratapult's got 4 wounds. He's got 5. There's the information there on my phone. There is no way, after all these months of testing about him playing singles, about him playing all the teams games, that he does not know that has 5 wounds. He's trying to cheat me because he's trying to say that it has 1 less wound, which means he's going to hold in the combat rather than lose it by 1. Because he essentially, if I did that extra wound, he would have broken both units from that combat. That's what it meant. But essentially he's saying, no, you only did 4 wounds because it's got 4 wounds, not 5, which means both of his units held, right? Because he'd already rolled it. And the ref goes, and at this time he was shooting himself. The ref just goes, that's right, turns to me and says, what would you like? And I said, look, I want a 20. And the ref goes, no, you can't have a 20. Okay, I say, fair enough. I want this unit, and this unit dead. Okay, and I want this unit max overrun 12 inches. The ref goes, do it. And the player just goes, okay.
Oh, nice.
So the poor guy sitting there, he's like, I'm sorry, honestly, I didn't know, I'm sorry. And I don't know if you guys know me, but 100 kilos standing across the table, friggin' semi-pissed off about the situation. And I just go to Ivan and Jamie, and I go, boys, I got him. And they're like, well, you got him, you come back. No, I got him. And they knew what I was meant by that, because I said in the previous game I was going to catch him out for cheating. So Actor and Ivan come over, and they come over in this point, and I am going balls deep in this guy. I'm talking because I'm into his backfield now. He's lost his front line because I made him take some of his models off that were in the combat. Everything's going to shit, and he's throwing in random casters to try to save points. Turn around, I was like, thanks for the game, mate. 13-7 to me, eh? And he's like, yeah, looks like it. Didn't you have me at 14-6 before and you didn't want to shake on it? And he's like, yeah, should have shook on that 14-6. I was like, yeah, you should have too. Should have not tried to cheat me as well. Ivan comes over and goes, because of you and catching him out cheating, we won the round. So against Belgium, because of that, we won the round.
That's awesome.
And we went fucking ecstatic. We're just like, booyah, baby. And
Serves them right. Like that sort of shit. Yeah. Seriously. You're going to get busted.
Yeah, it was totally wrong. So, so we had a good one against Belgium. And then... interesting story with the singles match, the final game, believe it or not, not to jump around, but obviously we're on the subject of cheating. The finals match, what had happened was they'd pulled all the dice in the middle and they were sharing them, and the dice were in there, and basically another player from one of the teams, the other one guy's side, the junior guys, comes over and goes, that dice has 2 5s on it, and the other player's playing demons, so 5s are really beneficial. They go in, they grab it out, and it has 5s. And they're like, oh, cheat. And 20 people come around, and they're looking at the dice, and they find out that it's actually the other team set up the other team. They've actually placed the 5, and the guy that came over is actually part of the setup the whole time. So it was actually that team's dice, so that he got 20-0, taken straight off him, points gone, that's it, you're out, basically. So he got hit up big for that because they pulled him and they tried to set up the other guy just to get the auto win, and it backfired. So
that's crazy.
That is brutal, man.
Yeah. So is there different play styles to this? Like obviously cheating's a play style, but did you notice any other differences between nations, the way they're playing the game, other than obviously some like to cheat, obviously?
Okay, yeah. perfect example. I played a Maltese guy. I sat down. This is in the singles. In the Malta guy, I sat down. Nicest guy. Like, no offense to him whatsoever. Like, honestly, real nice guy. You have a good laugh with him. Really realistic. Like, calls something shit. He'll say shit. Something's good. Sat down. He's playing Sylvanels, which is the old Wood Elves. And I sit down and I've set up my army. He sets up his and he starts individually putting models. I said, "Oh, so they don't have movement tray?" He goes, "No." Sets up the next one. Right? His whole army didn't have movement trays, and he's playing MSU Wood Elves.
Fuck that.
Oh, no
Seriously.
way.
So I said to him, I just go, so this is my sentence. I go, so does any of your army have movement tray? And Mikey, who we just played in the Ashes, is sitting there. He goes, Wood Elves with no movement trays, eh? Have fun, Dave. I've just gone, fuck. And my head's just gone bang on the table and hit the table and gone, this sucks. I got a 16-4 against him, but I made him do things like he was making models that were like 8 models wide, a lot wider, and I don't think that was the intention, but it created an awkward phase. When I was sort of like, do you mind if we just measure the actual width that they're supposed to be? Because they're really wide. Like, I'm talking like he was a quarter of the table with 8 models.
Mate, it's a game. it's a game of millimeters. Like,
but it's important to get some of the basics right. You know what I mean? Like, and that was one end of the scale. So we had the Malta guys at the one end of the scale, and then we had the Germans, who I played against Thomas in this warm-up match.
They'd be super anal with it.
Super efficient, but it was so satisfying. It was so satisfying to the point where he would actually blue tack his corner piece markers to every model before each movement phase, so that if he needed to go back, there wasn't any conjecture about where it was. He would just move back. And it was measuring sticks. It wasn't tapes. It was always sticks. So, physical lines joining to them, arcs of move, and it made for a real sociable game. And that's my play style, and I really enjoyed it against the Germans like that. I really enjoyed that play style, and I actually picked up some of his things that he did, and I actually had opponents say, I really like the fact that you're doing that because it makes it less awkward. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it takes the confusion out of it. So do you reckon that, like, we've talked about some of the crappy things some of the teams are doing. Would you have rated Germany as probably one of your favourite teams to play?
Germany against one of the favourite teams to play to the max. Like, I think as a quality of game, as an efficiency, I know that they always know what they're doing. I mean, we talked about before the Belgium match, that was once off, but that one player doesn't represent the whole team. As a whole, everyone else thought their games were pretty good. So we didn't really have any bad teams we play against. We did have some weird things where I would cheer, and the Russian guy might thought that was a bit like, come on, back to the game. But that was my passion coming through the game. So you don't really have that. We hand sort of beer coolers over every game. We'd give them two Australian dice and a beer cooler as like a token. So that would be their thing.
Did you do the shirt swapping?
Yeah, I did the shirt swapping. Every single shirt I got was a medium, so I can't fucking wear them. I ended up looking like the rugby players. I got Mikey Newmans who's a medium. I look like a bloody English rugby player. It barely fit on, and then I got another German guy who's exactly the same, was a medium as well, maybe even a little bit smaller. I ended up getting a decent size from the Spanish guy, believe it or not, and I still wear that today around. It's a nice shirt. They got the sort of the Spanish rider symbol, with sort of the 2 riders riding off in the sunset sort of image. I don't know, and they've got that one sort of as their shirt symbol with their flag and their team name on the side, and then their sort of essentially their handle name on the back. So that's pretty tasty. But Ireland was sociable. We played against Ireland, and then the day 3 when we played against Poland, they were always good. They had a mixed one, Poland, believe it or not. Poland had 5 serious guys and 3 sort of ones that were just there to get pissed. My guy actually said to me in the last round, he come over and goes, "Man, I'm really hungover and tired. Do you mind if we just like shake on a 10-10 because I just don't want to play?" I was like, "No, this is a positive matchup for me. I'm gonna make you suffer." And he's just like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah. So I want at least a 13-7 out of this." And he turns to his coach and he gives him like puppy dog eyes. And he's like, "Please, he goes, please, coach, like, please, let me shake on a 13-7. Okay, mate. And he's like, yeah, okay, you can have a 13 cent. I was like, yeah, sweet. It was actually an 8 for me. Thanks for the extra points.
Oh, that's awesome, though. That's awesome.
So he was hungover. I ended up getting a 13, and I was predicted to get an 8. But it was actually kind of sad because it was my last game of the tournament, and it was I don't like shaking on any points or any scores. So I shook on the last game of the tournament. And I got to watch, but I was pretty cactus by the end of it. Jamie you could tell he was really wide and really over it, because he was pairing for people and they weren't getting results sometimes, and it would get him shitty, which is completely valid. So,
all right, so let's get to the crux of it. Where'd we come?
Where did we come? So
yeah, where'd we place?
So if we beat Poland in the last round,
of
that 3, we would have got 3rd or 4th, depending on how many VPs we got.
No way.
Yep.
If you beat Poland.
That was our thing. If we beat Poland, but because we got absolutely curb stomped, okay, we dropped as far down as 17th.
Ooh.
Oh, that's a big
But
drop.
that's wait up. How many countries did you say? It was 30 something.
36 or 38.
36, 38. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were.
That's not
halfway.
that's not bad for a little country at the bottom end of the world.
Yeah, and we were in the top 10 the whole game. We were playing top teams. We pulled Russia, we pulled Spain, and we pulled Poland. Poland won it we're top in the last year against Italy. As well. We didn't pull Italy this year, but Italy, Spain, and Poland are always competitive, and we pulled Poland, Spain, and Russia in there. We got some good wins against Ireland, Belgium, and Latvia. We've sort of around the competitive Belgium level. It's very hard to find 8 Australians because obviously we have to have at least 4 with the rule. You have to have 4 Australians. You can have 4, foreigners. But it's historically we tend to take more Australians than we do foreigners.
Is it hard to get the players considering obviously the cost and time, obviously, for because we are at the bottom end of the world, and it costs money and it takes up a lot of time.
Hard to get that level of meta Australians, yes. You're talking about a level that can predict scores, that can pretty much control games. Australia's population is just frankly not big enough, and we're too isolated. We're, our nearest competitor, New Zealand, and that's it. That's pretty much what we're used to playing against. England, the European guys have got tournaments, beyond all the countries, every month. You know what I mean? They got one Germany, Italy, Denmark. So you can fly down to Spain if you want. You go to Copenhagen. You can go to you go to all those sort of countries in that European sector that you can pretty much get exposed to different metas as well and different levels. So it becomes almost like you're locked in to not that ability, but UB is crucial for that for us. And even then, you can only get exposed to so much. So.
No, it sounds like you guys did really well because, like you said, it sounds like we're pushing shit uphill. And, like you said, we're all in the top 10 for most of the tournament. So, one bad game basically threw it out. But top 10 in the world, mate. Yeah,
it was good. I was really, really ecstatic. I mean, Team Australia is not like Wales where I was actually, you guys are like this one, I was actually walking out of the hotel of day 2, fresh after gym, had a healthy breakfast, good night's sleep, holding my arm, walk out, and I see this cab screeching out. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And I see this one guy, or essentially it's 2 guys, but the first guy bolts out and just trips over his poor mate that's crawling on his hand and knees, power chucking on his hands and knees, with the Team Wales shirt on. And this other guy, I don't know if you know the movie, any zombie movie where they start running at people and like projectile vomiting. It was literally like that, where he's just throwing his arms around into this side tree area, projectile vomiting. And he was going the entire time of a good 100-meter courtyard it took me to walk across through the security section. And then I've actually got a photo of the poor guy. I look over and I'm setting up my army against my opponent. We've done all our pairings. I look over and I see the same guy, because he's obviously red stands out on the screen floor. He's asleep under the table, and his opponent's essentially just...
Oh, it's Jacob!
Jacob's disappear off to Spain for a bit.
I've got a photo of the referee poking him, trying to wake him up because his opponent wants to start the game, and apparently he said to his opponent, "Just play my side. I'm too hungover. Just play my models. You play yours, and then you tell me what the score is at the end."
That's a big effort, isn't it? That's a big sesh.
Yeah, and the guy's asleep. He slept the whole two. Yeah, it's because the rounds go for 4 hours. He slept the whole 4 hours and woke up feeling fantastic.
Did the Australian side get into any shenanigans after hours, or are you guys pretty much, the fact that you've had to fly from one end of the world to the other to get there, and huge costs, were you a bit more serious than obviously probably the Irish and the Welsh?
Yeah, so you basically go over there with a plan. You say, look, are we going to play competitive or are we going to have fun? We're going to have fun. We're going to go out and piss. If we're going to play competitive, then there's no grog during the game. You might have a social drink at night time. Every night you go out. So, one night we went out with the Germans, another night we went out with the English, another night we went out with Team Mexico. I met Chai Hammer. I don't know if you guys watch Chai Hammer's videos. He starts his videos with "What's going on YouTube?" That, if you don't recognize that voice. It's a good YouTube video if you want to get on it. It's Chai Hammer Fantasy Battles. He does fantastic battle reports. Met him and his crew, his Team Mexico. They were really sociable. It's ETC wasn't just about the games. It was just going out and having some drinks. I think the most they put away would 2 or 3 jugs of sangria, but not like an all-nighter where you're out drinking spirits and then let's go hookers. So
it sounds like it was a bit more social rather than getting absolutely shit-faced. Yeah,
it is. Well, Team Thundercocks, I don't know if you know Team Thundercocks, they sent a photo of like all this coke lined up with endless shots, and they're like, oh, this is just a night's worth, like that was their effort, and they were pretty fucked up each day, sort of thing. But so with the most we drank was in Real Madrid on the Saturday and the Sunday, where we had a decent session. Ivan grabbed the sangria, and obviously drinking sangria, you drink out of drugs, pours it, finishes the glass, and goes, guys, go easy on the sangria. It's really fucking strong. I can't feel my face. We had Mike sort of overconsume, and I mean by overconsume I mean he drank it and ate too much to the point where he's sitting there next to me going doing weird like congestive things like a friggin' alien's gonna burst out of his belly, and he's got a big belly, so I can actually rest my drinks on it sometimes, and I was resting.
Oh, that is wrong.
Just to stir him, and he's walking along and he ends up vomiting just like a cheeky power chuck. And because it was near a fountain, it's now evolved to he vomited on a small child at the fountain.
Oh no, Jesus Christ!
But the problem is he vomited it and it got on the shirt, and he wore the same shirt the next day, so he never looked at that bloody.
That's cool.
That's shirts, and he stunk it out.
I read that. Did you get MVP for the Australian team?
Yeah, I got MVP for it. Basically, I was real chuffed with that. It basically come down to, look, we go around, we sit there at a dinner, the final dinner, the last night. It's pretty down. Like you get pretty hyped up, and it's really hard to describe, but you're in a depressed state. You don't want it to end because you're just so. You're a little bit tired, but you're just so like every day's go. You just it's unreal. Like it's like a drug basically. And you're sitting down there, and everybody votes one person that they think the MVP is. You go around, and essentially, Jamie gave me a vote. Actor had the final call, and I got one from Jono as well. And basically, they said to it come down essentially just all my work that I put on UB, all the play testing, essentially, was second to none. My performance in the singles, performance in the teams, and the fact that I was a rookie, my rookie year was just unreal. So basically just said that, look, I got the actor basically said, look, Dave, I'm going to have to give you VP. And I got a nice two big bottles of specialized Belgian beer, liter ones as a, thing, but also the recognition meant probably more than anything else. You know what I mean? So I was pretty chuffed.
For sure.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Congratulations.
That's a big call, isn't it? Yeah.
Nice work, man. And you might as well rate the Slopster's performance as captain while you're here. Tell you what did he fuck up on? Come on, spit it out.
Oh, what did he fuck up on? Oh,
yeah, he must have fucked something up.
Talking about Jono or actor? Actor?
No, Jono.
Jono is coach. Coach. Sorry.
Sorry.
Jono, we had this sneaky suspicion that he had a rape dungeon. So we you know, because he doesn't like talking in groups. Like, you know, you talk in big groups, goes dead silent. So it gives Ivan perfect material to rip on him. So every night, you know, Jono would say something, and Ivan would be like, "Why is he not saying anything? Why is he not?" And he'd just be like, "Mate, stop checking your phone for your rape dungeon. Like, your person hasn't escaped." You know what I mean? Like, or like he sort of just randomly disappear at occasions and be like, "Did you have to go feed your person that you've got like trapped, or did you have to give them air or something? Like, you make sure they're like hydrated or change the drip on them or something." You know, like. So ripping on him about this thing, but I talk to John all the time. He's completely fine, and he goes, you know, you pull him off the side. He goes, I don't, I don't. I was like, yeah, it's fine. Doesn't bother me, mate. Like, it's Ivan ripping on everybody. Doesn't give a shit. He doesn't rip on me because he hadn't beaten me in game, so he's got no grounds to rip on me. But you know, there was one morning that he just disappeared, and we're like, where the fuck's Jono? He's like, oh, maybe the rape dungeon person got out, and they're getting him payback, and they've locked him up now. And then he comes out looking, and the thing is, like, he comes in like an hour late after the round started, and obviously you need to be there. Like, you need two coaches, you know, because a lot of times there's double rules calls or like hydration, or, you know, especially like water because you're getting pretty hot. Like, there's certain crucial things you need two coaches there. And we're just like, where the fuck is he? He rocks up looking like really rough, and apparently, yeah, he's just like, we're just like, because it's obviously linked to the rape dungeon concept, but essentially he wasn't well. He was sort of going through a bit of flu because he spends a little bit of time traveling around. So yeah, he had a dodgy rape dungeon on the way. So that's basically what I can say about Jono, sort of thing.
Yeah, we can confirm all those rumors.
Muddy can.
Yeah, Muddy can. You were that person.
That's actually reminded me of Burwood stories, but anyway, we won't harp on that one. While we got you, obviously ETC Ninth Age. So is there anything you want to talk about that's coming up with Ninth Age, and sort of sell it to people that are maybe sitting on the fence to sort of get them over and you know, sell the ETC, like, you know, to get into the team and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, my big question, Dave, is like, it just seems you put in so much work. Like, it's a huge thing. Like, you come out this side of it, do you look back and go, was it worth it?
Yeah, I'm going next year, mate. I'm going 100% next year. Like, you put in the effort, you stay on the team. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? People don't want people on the team that don't perform. You go to a certain level where you don't really believe you have, and then you sort of get to another level. I know it sounds really cliche, but it's true. Like, I thought I was at a level when I went there, then I flew over and got to another level, and like, I come back now, and it's just like, it makes them just more sociable. So it is, well, it is a lot of commitment. It's sort of, is it a life goal? And you guys probably knew from way back, it was always one of my goals to go to ETC.
Yeah,
you
man,
know, that was
absolutely.
the end. So that's the end sort of top thing. So if it is your goal, then obviously you're willing to sort of, you know, sacrifice. Obviously, like, you know, my wife and my son were very supportive, but at the same time, you know, some nights I did have to say, sorry, buddy, you know, I can't play tonight. I've got to test this, or I've got to, you know, like, you know, I know my wife still jokes about it, saying, look, you know, got to get home for a 6 p.m. conference call, you know, got to get home, you know, like, after the, you know, paying me out about it. But unfortunately, because of the time zone difference, not everybody's in Australia. So we've got to set it up in a way where, you know, everyone can do the conference call. Mine, you know, might be 6 p.m. It might be 9 a.m. in London time, and Ivan was in Spain, so, you know, 10 there. So you've got to make it work. It's not just you and the team, so you've got to be sort of considerate of the fact that it is an 8-player or a 10-player team. So yeah, it's definitely worth it. Trying to sell it, I mean, I would say to people, wait till 2.0 comes out. 2.0, they're essentially solidifying it away from the fact that Games Workshop doesn't have any grounds for any legal action. So
yeah, this is the bit where I get confused, because I was keen for when, you know, it was coming out Ninth Age and everything else, but the constant updates has left me sort of disillusioned with it. Is this the point where they've actually reached it and they're happy with it?
Yeah, so they're basically, what they do is community driven. So there's essentially every army has its own page, and these guys go through what they call moderators or whatever. They go through and they filter all the feedback, and it is literally not based around the model anymore. It's based around, you know, this is broke a spark, it needs to be changed, and they don't have to wait 2 years to do it. You don't have to wait, you know, 3 friggin' years of suffering in a tournament against a broken list of people complaining, leaving the hobby because, you've got the new fancy model. It just gets changed, and they have 1.3.4 come out.
Yeah, the living document type thing.
And it's nothing major. It's just minor tweaks to units or a mistype thing that people are abusing the English wording of it. Because some people that translate the stuff, English isn't their first language. They're always making sure that they're pricing it. They're always making sure they're pricing things correctly, as in like points versus what it can do. So they're always conscious about that. They always make sure that they have votes about it. But essentially what they're trying to do now is make the system so that it's, for example, weapon skill. Weapon skill now you have a to hit and you have a to be hit. Rather than you or I used to have a weapon skill 5 or a 4. Now you have it to hit or to be hit, so that it's trying to get away completely from the Games Workshop side. So if they've done that, they've achieved it. Obviously it's going to come out a couple of weeks. It's going to be set up for a massive next year. I mean, to go off what you've seen in the past. I mean, Queensland has one of the biggest followings. We had the Castle of Sol just recently. 3/4 of the field was from Queensland, but we had like 20 plus people flying for a 2-dayer. That's a big commitment. Like we're having a tournament almost every month somewhere in the state, or the states, I should say. You've got Melbourne, but you have these guys like Haig, Ivan, Jack Blanche, who does a massive job in New South Wales, Haig and Glenn, Weston, who does a huge job in Queensland now. Pretty much Glenn and Haig are running the Queensland scene. You've got Ivan running the Melbourne scene, and you've got Jack running New South Wales. Without these 4 guys, I'm not saying the scene will die off, but these guys are crucial, and I don't think people will do enough appreciation using the Wargamer, the forums, in thanking them. Obviously, you don't really have a TO anymore. This game now, you don't need a TO for. The rules are so clear, and there's very little grey zones that you don't have those, oh, is this or this, oh, TO, bring a TO over, we need to look at it, pause. Now you just get on with it, and at no point do you think, oh, I have to hit this guy, or that was, oh, we got that rule completely wrong, it's affected the entire game. That I haven't heard of that happening in over a year of the Australian scene, I should say. So
sounds like it's all up and up, buddy.
It is. It's solid. It's a solid game. It's a really good group of people. Everyone's friendly. You paint what you enjoy. The meta isn't, is different in Australia compared to, Europe, Germany, UK, Italy. They all have different metas. America. So it's interesting.
Have you got an event that you're going to be going to soon, or?
Yeah, so we've got Oktoberfest run by Haig and Glenn on this Saturday, believe it or not, a 1-dayer. 1-dayers tend to be pretty popular in Queensland at the moment because people like the 1-dayer. It allows another day to do something. I like the fact that I can do the golf on the Sunday and the 1-dayer on the Saturday. But if I had my way, I'd have, 2 weeks straight of Warhammer, so it doesn't really bother me, Like, I'm a Warhammer addict. When people ask, how many games do you want in one day? I'll say bloody 5 if you'll let me, sort of thing.
So basically, you're a bit of a gaming whore.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a gaming whore, but I love it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know about you, Jacob, but I sort of, go into my shell during the week as a teacher, and then I come out and I'm bum raping guys left, right, and center, giving them a kiss, licking the dice, calling them shit cunts, making sure they piss themselves in the trough in the toilets, So I like.
Yeah, but you got to remember, I teach in a state school, so yeah.
I mean, I got a measuring stick, basically, the 12-inch measuring stick that I actually lick both sides, and I ask my opponent to measure things out or check spacings. I don't actually give a fuck. I already know that it's correct. I just want them to touch the stick that I've just licked, and I always tell them when they're holding it, I'm like, yeah, I just licked that, and they're like, oh, fuck. I actually got Dan twice with the lick stick, where I actually got him in turn 1, and then because obviously turn 6 was about 2 hours later, he'd forgotten by it, and then I got him to do it again, and then the second time I actually didn't need to say anything, and he realised as he was holding it, he was measuring, you could see his head, he was like, why the fuck is he getting me to measure this? Oh well, he goes to measure it, and then you can see his face just drop and go, oh shit, I'm holding this thing again, aren't I?
At least you haven't put it anywhere else.
No, it's good. I got a singlet of Mike Graham's butt crack. we actually managed to get a photo of him bending over with his butt crack sticking out. We had a screenshot of that, and I custom made that as a singlet onto a and actually played him round 1 of Castle Assault. And I got Shy Spotzer. I got Frederick from the Australian ETC team this year to actually. I said to him, "Look, what's a good swear word or a saying in Germany?" He said, "Oh, you want to call someone, call them a Shy Spotzer." And I was like, "What does that mean?" He's like, "Oh, shit, cunt." I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna put Shy Spotzer above and below Mike's ass bending over on that table." So yeah, I've got a Shy Michael Graham butt crack on the scene. So.
Well, it sounds like you're still a filthy old cunt, and I've just learned that you're into a bit of a total war, so I'll be checking you out real fucking soon, bro.
Yeah, we'll get on it, mate. Well, the Dark Elves are broken as fuck on that, sure.
Well, wait up tomorrow the Mortal Empires drop, yeah?
Yeah, still Dark Elves broken. They're so broken.
Right. So my lizards versus your Dark Elves.
Done. You can't win it. Just go feral.
I know. I'm shit at it anyway. So, but I'll still have fun.
Yeah, you guys got to put that up on Twitch so we can all see it. All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna get my tits out and play it.
Oh, subscribe. Where's your Patreon?
Yeah, you're not getting any of that. Anyway, I think this is a point where we'll call it a day. DT, cheers for coming in and speaking everything ETC, Ninth Age, and all that other goodness, and sticking sticks up your ass and getting people to hold them and whatnot. Just once again, big thanks, buddy.
Actually, quick question.
Yeah.
So, DT, CONEXIO this year?
Yeah, I'll be there. For sure.
Nice. Yep.
Oh, you fucking jerk.
Jacob, you're going to CONEXIO, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm not giving you my credit card again, though.
Yeah. So hang on.
I'll just take it like last.
Hey, Muddy, are you going to CONEXIO?
No, it's my wife's 40th.
Well, really? Well, can't you have your 40th done at Canberra?
Canberra's a lovely place for a function.
It's a brilliant place for a 40th.
Voted like the most visitable place in Australia, and apparently like top 10 in the world. What the fuck's that about?
Guys, you don't want me at Moosehead's getting all the chicks, mate.
No, I was pretty passive last year. I was pretty passive. You guys got on it bigger than I did, so.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that barmaid would have been alright.
Alright, let's call it, shall we?
Alright, too easy. Man, thanks heaps, Dave, for calling in.
No problems, guys. Thanks very much for that. It was good. It was a good chat. I hope I can remember enough things. I was trying to remember most of it today, so yeah. Cheers,
hey,
guys.
do you want to cut an audio bit in? Do you want to plug this other podcast? Because I never caught the name of this other podcast. I don't think you ever said it.
Yeah, plug it, man.
Yeah, give it a plug and we'll add it in.
The one we're doing.
Yeah. Your ninth one.
So it's just what did we end up calling it? I think it was the just Night Down Under, basically.
Ninth Down Under.
Night Down Night Down Under, and it's on. We normally do the posts on the Wargamer. Jack normally posts them pretty much linked to each of the tournament forum threads, so you can find it through there. And if anyone's interested in applying for the ETC, they can basically go onto the ETC application, which is on the forum and the Facebook page as well. And you just basically there's an application outline there, and they just send all their details through to ACTA, and it gets the ball rolling from there.
Too easy. We'll post up some links.
So anyone interested in a bit of Ninth Age goodness, check out Ninth Age Down Under and get on the Facebook and the Wargamer AU for links to basically ETC selections and obviously the tournaments that are coming up.
Yeah, definitely. That's pretty much where we're basically at. We've got tons of links there. It's always tons of communication, but also good banter too. A lot of shit talking, which is always nice. So.
Oh, cool. Well, cheers, Dave, and I'll see you on Total War soon, dude.
Yeah, good guys. Thanks, appreciate that. Hope
no worries.
you enjoyed
it.
Peace.
Cheers, DT.
Peace, bitches.
You are listening to Power Stance Gamers. And now, this.
Alright, thanks once again to DT, David Trickett, for sharing his ETC experiences with us. really good of him to take the time out and enlighten us on what fantasy wargaming really is at that pointy end. What we'll do is we're going to wrap up right there. So if you want to, I recommend you check us out on Facebook, like us, get involved in the conversations, do whatever you need to do there. We are on Patreon, which is the big one. If you love what we do, chuck in $1 a month. Help us out. Don't forget, we have our Power Stance drinking event coming up. This is 1 week from the release date of this episode, on the 11th of November. 5 p.m. onwards, we will be at the brewery. We're going to be cracking out some casual games and drinking some fantastic beer. We would love to see you there. Remember, if you do back us on Patreon, we've got a couple of little sneaky surprises in the night for you two there. I would also like to announce...
Is he trying to squeeze a fart out?
I don't know what he's trying to do. Okay. So, we also will be doing our first Patreon backers draw right before Christmas. And the first little prize I want to announce is a signed Power Stance Gaming t-shirt that we're all wearing at the moment.
We are, actually.
We're not wearing the same shirt. We're wearing 3 different shirts with the same design. We're not just huddled up under one shirt.
We get a head through each, like one through an arm sleeve.
But yeah, so that's going to be the first prize. We're going to give away a very limited edition signed Power Stance Gaming shirt.
Oh, nice.
And it comes in a range of sizes, don't worry. For our littlest listener to the biggest. So, as we said, check us out. Podbean, Facebook, Patreon. Come to our event. Play some games with us. Drink some beers with us. If you love what we do, then we want to hear about it too. Get involved in the chat on Facebook. And subscribe on iTunes. Have I left anything else, lads?
I'll see you at CONEXIO.
CONEXIO, yeah. We'll be there. Yeah. And on that note, good night.
Thank you for listening to Power Stance Gamers, the #1 place for tabletop banter. You know you love us. See you soon.
It's eternal and mixed well on the track once again, killing it. T-Dot to Munch, we all connection, bump resurrection. Ha.